on, Michael.
Compromise your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy.
Right.
Friend, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over the tragedy.
No.
No
Something's
matter the
wrong.
storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
Yakin Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake. I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's definitely an honor and a privilege. We have live and direct with us Kabbalistic master teacher, Dr. Justin Russell, Pittsburgh, PA. What's going on, doctor? I think you muted. Unmute yourself.
How about now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you know, too blessed to be stressed. Going through a transformation, a beautiful transformation. I think a lot of people, I had to come off the matrix. I know I've been off the grid a little bit, but when you get a calling, when the Most High calls you to sit down and, you know, I think for people my age, I say the class of 97, 96, when we come into this knowledge, we're going into elderhood, you know what I mean?
You know what? You know what? You may not even need your microphone. Can you just, because that's kind of statically.
Okay.
You may not.
How about
You
now?
need that.
How about
Perfect.
now? Perfect?
Oh,
Okay.
yep.
Back. So, yeah, this technical, I got all type. That's broke. So, yeah, the little thing is off. But, you know, for people my age, using 47, we're going into elderhood. And there's a lot of things that we're doing that I don't want to take up, you know, I want to get to it, but I think there's a lot of things that have to be said on this level. There's a lot of transformations we're coming from. We are products of the crack era, for instance. You know what I mean? A lot of things that we got to come to peace with personally. And, you know, what my elders taught me, a lot of my elders moved on here in Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of things they did right and they did wrong. Let's keep it a buck. You know what I mean? Like they, you know as well, like, you know, the teachers that we had, they had their ways too, you know what I mean? And they always told me to take heed, you know, to a lot of things. So it's just a lot of building. There's a lot of information about the Kabbalah, or we call the Sephirotor, which I want to get into tonight, is introduce people, which the past couple of years, I mentioned the Sephirotic Torah. And there's been a mini civil war between my brothers in the Hebrew or Israel because of the Kabbalah, because there's misinformation. Some people think it's witchcraft. Some people think it's Freemasonry, and you know. And I try to. I started in the Kabbalah with Sepher Yetzirah back in '97, and it was through around there for men with the Tree of Life meditation system. But that's the first time I heard about the Kabbalah, you know, or the Elohim Neshama, or this, you know, whatever, Sephirotor, and so on and so forth. That's the first time I heard of it. And for me, it taught me who or what is the true and living God. Now, obviously, around that era, you know, that's the golden era, I would say, 97, 98, 99, 2000, you know what I mean? It was like you couldn't step outside without knowledge yourself. The Hebrew Israelites or plus the Greek gods and stuff, you know what I mean? So who or what is the true and living God was always top. You couldn't even speak. I mean, now it's just it's just a clown. It's just a crash out mission now with people. Everyone wants to be a grandmaster teacher and this and that. People don't know what it takes, to really approach this type. You need at least 20 plus or 30 plus years because in comparative studies, like I have a book list tonight, and I've never done this, but I know the audience here. I don't think there's no Gentile. So long story short, because I want to give you a little backdrop of myself, because a lot of people don't know me, and I don't have YouTube yet. Only because, and this goes into the story. The past couple of years with the Kabbalah, I had a class. I was teaching at a college, and what happened was is that the class was filled with Gentiles, and the money was good. The money, I was looking at Porsche trucks. You know what I mean? The bag was nice, but when you come into this particular information, you become like a guardian of the galaxy. You know what I mean? You have to guard this information. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone to teach. It's not for everyone to even have. This is specifically for the Hebrew Israelites. I have books on books that say this information is for the celestial shamans. Celestial shamans are Hebrew Israelites. Different bill for different day. But it's not for everyone. So I remember sitting in the class, and the Gentiles or so-called people who are not Hebrew Israelites will say, they got money. Hey, I'll give you this and that. And to do this, if you learn about your financial gains, this ain't for you. To go down this road, as they say, spirit don't care about your bank account. You know what I mean? So you have to have a dedication that's beyond. It has to be a search for the truth. It has to be search for something that's grand. You know what I mean? If you're looking to get money out of this, then I could have been a software engineer, but I chose the path for more. You know what I mean? Well, the path chose me. You know what I mean? And I tried to run, like Braun there from Ren used to say, I tried to run as fast as I could run faster, but it chooses you. What you're searching for is searching for you. When I was even a kid, even in church, it was like, who was the true and living God. And I never got it from opposite person. That's not so and so. So for long story short, I was sitting in class and I looked at the class and it was nothing but Gentiles. Nothing. It was no original people, no melanated people. And I even tried to give the class away for free in the hood where I'm from. Wilkinsburg stand up. And they wouldn't take it. Free class, like, I'm charging. People were getting charged almost $200-$300 a class. And I'm giving myself for free and no one would take it. And so I was like, this is not direction I want this type of information go. People were trying to take this information and teach it. To teach this, you need comparative studies. You need, like, for instance, like there's the K, the Q, and the C, the different meanings, and there's meanings after that than what the Golden Dawn Society does, and Aleister Crowley is the man of facts. You know what I mean? It's there's a ton of while you're studying, while you're lovey-dovey, while you're next to chilling, while you're chasing some broad, I'm studying. You see what I'm saying? Like, look what's behind me. That's just my chess books. The other lab got the Kabbalah books and everything. So this is 30 plus.
I know that you got a lot of books on chess. I know that. I know you got hundreds of books on chess.
Oh, yeah. Well, chess. I've been playing chess since I was 4. I mean, chess is my love. It's my passion. And Kabbalah and chess have the same meaning. They're both 64 square, 64 tetrahedron. You get into the Yi King as well. There's an esoteric meaning to chess that I promote more than just the because it's a mandala, and so is the Ashkam is the tree of life. So they have a deeper meaning. You ascend the tree of life, you descend your king. You got to go from one end to another. Your goal is to get from one end to another. So you ascend up the tree of life, you descend down. You descend up the chessboard, you descend down the chessboard. So maybe we'll do one on that one day. Yeah, esoteric meanings of chess. But chess was always like, I got to also a master game called Go or Wei Chi with the stones. It's played in China and So yeah, there's been that, just mastering. Say, but the biggest thing though, those are big too. But my teachings on the Kabbalah has taken a step forward, and I had to take some time off the grid to get things done on a personal level. I always feel like, when you're on this path, everything works itself out. People are more worried because I had students, and the first thing out of their mouth is my bills, this and that. Listen, either you or y'all centered or you're not y'all centered. We didn't come here to worry about bills. You came out here to come out of cosmic exile. You see what I'm saying? With the Most High. If bills is your worry, then there's nothing I can do for you. You see what I'm saying? That's some matrix, just general matrix issues. You know what I mean? And most of our peoples, they're slaves to the matrix. They're slaves to the tree of life instead of manifesting the tree of life. You see what I'm saying? The tree of life itself, and what I'm going to show today, and I'll try to make this sick because I know we're on the time, is I want to introduce the Sephirotor. The difference between the Sephirotor and the Kabbalah with the Cabala, on and on and on. And I think, what's that one book? I dropped. Like I said, my desk just fell. So my desk just fell. I don't worry about it. I'll get it later. But because I wanted to use it as an example. There's books everywhere, all over the floor. You see it? Right behind me. So most people, when they get into the Kabbalah, they run into books like these. Okay, you walk into Barnes and Nobles. You notice what's with the Q, and most of these people today. First of all, I'm gonna say this up loud. Any person, especially men, you young men out there, if any woman mentions his tarot readings, that's a crash out mission. That's a bozo mission. The tarot. Listen to what I'm saying. If you get anything out of this, let me make this crystal clear. Stay away from women who deal with the tarot. That is a crash out mission. She's going to take you for the ride of your life. That is insanity. These women don't know what they talk, and they're disrespecting women. Or just, I know people are saying that's another reason why you'll see me, because everyone's offended. Listen, this is that real. So I'm sure the sister I just saw, I'm sure she get it too. But there's a lot of black women who are getting into tarot, and they're getting hooked up with the white women who are like, tree hugging white women, all that. Nah. Nah. I'm telling you, this shit is crazy. What they be telling, like, I'm like, what? Well, yeah, because they be like, and it's in this book. That's why I'm using this book, because this is a basic book you can get from Barnes and Nobles, and people will scroll by it, and here it is: the 9 of Pillars, 10 of Swords, and so people will take this and just take off. You'll see them on social media, like, I do tarot rings and the Kabbalah and this and that, and I'm like,
I've seen that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there like someone like me, who's a master teacher in the Kabbalah, and and the thing is, a lot of these, and no disrespect, again, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but women today, women in America, I'll say, it's an interesting situation, and to handle first of all, Alistair Crowley said use the Kabbalah to calculate the tarot. You have to master the Kabbalah, but to master the Kabbalah, you have to master divine mathematics, right? In order to master divine mathematics, you have to have some type of self-mastery before you come to it. So
hold on, Dr. Justin Russell. DJ Genesis, can you mute your mic?
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead now, Doctor.
Right. So I don't want to offend anybody. I don't hope I do, because in this world, especially with social media, we can't say certain. So we're all. I mean, I'm shadow bound. I'm shadow bound. So But with books like these, and I'm gonna use this because it says Kabbalah with the Q, workbook for magicians. So a lot of my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters will pick this book out, and they'll be like, "See, this is what I mean." And I'm like, "Lord." Albert Pike, right? Albert Pike. He said the Freemasons use the Kabbalah for the masonry work. Not that the Kabbalah is masonry. It's not witchcraft. It's divine mathematics. The celestial shamans are divine mathematicians. So if you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, you are a divine mathematician. You are a, celestial shaman. Okay. So what I want to do is split. This is why, again, I don't toot my own horn, but I'll say this. I think me personally, and there's other brothers who, deal with the tarot, but you got to understand they're based in other sciences per se. So we know one, I ain't gonna say his name, but he's based in Freemasonry. So he's gonna come at this angle. Then there's one that's based in, They have an agenda behind it. So they're gonna push that on just the concept or the context of what is the Kabbalah. So that's why, like I said, the past few years, I've taken the route of Sephirotor Torah, because you go to Kabbalah with the QKC, you go this way. But if you say Sephirotor, you go this way, which you start then with the Yahweh Iron Sof. When you start breaking down, you pop the engine to the Bereshit. So one of the greatest books you can get, because I had a book list, like I said, is I'm a fat kid at heart. Never mind the Olive Garden son. I'm a fat kid at heart. I had a free pasta. But anyway, this is one of the greatest books on the Kabbalah. You get the Kabbalistic Mirror of Genesis, commentary on the first 2 chapters by David Chain Smith. And in this book, teaches you how to deal with the matrix. Because at the end of the day, you could be like, "Oh, the Kabbalah. What is the Kabbalah?" And you could be like, "The Kabbalah is this, Mr. This, that." And you're just like, "What? What are we doing? What?" You know what I mean? You want to get to the nitty gritty. You want to get to pop the hood of, because for most Hebrew Israelites, they'll come to me and say, "Well, I only deal with scripture." Well, okay, well, let's pop the hood of the scriptures, and it's based in the Sephiroth. There's only the Torah. That's it. There's only the Sephiroth Torah. So let's read real quick. What was that? Okay. Fixation to any concept, even the concept of the Sephiroth, right? It is like slavery in Egypt. In the same way, the mind can easily become enslaved to refined concepts or concrete definition of God. So most people have, like, when they take the scriptures, they'll just, you know what I mean? Like when people read the scriptures, they're like robots. They're like those Tesla robots. They move, you know what I mean? That's not necessarily how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to be how do you deal with a reality that is how do you deal with reality that's objective? What constitutes the fabric of reality? So when it comes down to it, it's not telling the white man he ain't shit. It's like this and that. How do you approach a reality that's objective? So we're dealing with like a philosophical nature, of course, but those things are forbidden. When you hear it, no, it's not forbidden.
Right.
You have to. You know what I mean? Like how can you know what I'm saying? And that's when
Fact. That's facts. That's an absolute fact.
Because you are the creator, you are the mirror, and you are the observer. How does one, you know what I mean? How does one connect, or how does one get out of cosmic exile? Right? So there has to be, you know what I mean? So, and I don't want to lose anybody. So when I created this, I put this together, and you asked me to do this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to introduce the Sephirotor. I'm going to introduce the Sephirotor. I say Sephirotor. Nobody was saying Sephirotor before I was saying it. Not tooting my own horn, but like, let's just, call it for what it is. Because I guarantee you after this, you go hear somebody on social media be like, yo, the Sephirotor. But I mean, we have to. So let's get into it though, because I know the time is running short. So I usually run off of spirit, so I can feel. But definitely this book here. Let's read a little more. The phrase "from the Ein Sof to the Ein Sof" directly refers to the before and after aspects of creation. We'll say creation, but the Bereshit is a simple unity above and below. The Sephiroth can become prisons. The Sephiroth can become not Sephiroth. That means plural. Can become prisons when the mind is trapped in fixation to their attributes and the wisdom is lost. Same thing in the Matrix, right? This is a holographic universe. This is not real. So how do you, again, like I said before, it's an objective reality. How do you approach it? That's what the Kabbalah is. Okay, what we call it Kabbalah. All right, so I'll be using both terms just to, just piece it together. But,
Mama saying Cain, indeed, doctor.
Right. So how do you approach? Because they would say perception. There is no God, only perception, right? What does that mean? How do we? You know what I mean? We don't deal with spooky mystery gods, or brother, sister, and the gods on earth say. And even shout out to Prince Namor, and you go into Ancient Order Free Asiatics and his work on the Kabbalah. He even said that when you got to get into, once you get into 120, you go to the Kabbalah. You got to study something to get back. I had to go through Osiris Set Society to get to the Kabbalah, right? Who was the one brother who said that it was 120? And I don't want to get into that. I'll get a phone call later. But who said there was a watered down version of Kabbalah? 120 was a watered down version. I think it was Natural Tahuti. He said that. So
yes, Natural Tahuti said that.
He said that, right? So where we're at now, it's a beautiful day. We have the information. I have the information. I'll say me. You know what I mean? That we can move forward to now not just point fingers to make assumptions and anything. Because after this lecture, the game has changed. I'm about to change it. Right? So let's read it. The phrase Ein Sof directly refers to the before and after aspects of creation, the Bereshit. There's simple unity above and below. The Sephiroth can become prisons when the mind is trapped in fixation to their attributes and the wisdom is lost. Each Sephiroth, like all phenomenon, is only expression of the wonder and majesty of Ein Sof. The only attributes or qualities that post bears are those built by the mind's fixations. So as you see here, now I want you to keep see that symbol, right?
Yeah.
So what we're dealing with, this is a book on Sufism, right? If you want, you also get this book. This is a book, Sufi Expressions of the Mystical Quest by Lihad Burkhardio. Okay, you'll start to see, as you just showed you, that the presence of an eminence and transcendent nature, not verses, but how do they interact with each other? Just as I just showed you from the other one. Eminence.
That's very interesting that you're bringing up Sufism, because the foundation of Sufism is, in fact, Kabbalah. But continue on.
Right, correct. Because a lot of our Moorish, I noticed, right, a lot of our Moorish brothers are getting into Sufism, and they're like, well, the Kabbalah Sufism came from the Kabbalah. It's always what came first. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Then you're dealing with the Kabbalah. I'm dealing with the Sephirotor, right? So which one can you explain? Like when you deal with, we can build the book. I got the book right here. So it says, between water and clay, in essence, divine idea, the last prophet Muhammad proceeded, peace and blessings be upon him, come into actual existence. Adam is thought is completed before actualized. And shit. That's Kabbalah. That's talking Kabbalistically. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way that Sufism came for the Kabbalah or the Sephirotor, because the concept itself, I just showed you, So you're saying that the acts that happened in the you're saying so what people were telling me, the acts that happened in the Quran happened before the Bereshit. Any acts that happened in that's all, you know what I mean? And when we still with the bear, like I just showed you, the Bereshit is the forms, and you see the movie The Matrix, the cartoon Matrix, right? We're dealing with AI, not the AI we created. Even the movie Dune, that was post AI, right?
Yeah,
So
I just watched Dune Part 2, the new one.
the
Did you
new,
see Dune 2?
I saw it 3 times. I'm a Dune fan.
Man, oh, man. When I watched the new Dune Part 1, and then like some months later, I seen Part 2, but I just seen it like maybe like 3 weeks ago. Part 2, man. That thing is crazy Kabbalistic all throughout the whole entire movie.
What was the biggest thing in that movie? The bloodlines, crossing the
Yeah,
blood.
definitely. Let me ask you a question in that movie. You remember when the young girl had to drink that potion
Yeah, the
when
one.
from the older women?
Mm,
As you proceed on in this demonstration, I would like you to elaborate more on that because that was very interesting too. I would
yeah,
like you to expound on that.
yeah, the worm blood. It was the worm blood, and it was something that with the worms also represent a book. You want to get a where's that book? It's on the floor. But anyway, there's a book that represents spirals. The worms represent spirals, right? In the
Okay.
Kabbalah, just creation began in spirals. The worms been there before all of them, right? And so you had to rhyme the worm. That in Kabbalistic sense, him getting on the worm and tackling it, that's tackling your supreme. That's the lower part of his like animal self and his higher part of his spiritual self. You see what I'm saying? So like the worms, like when they drank the blood, that's taking the essence of the worm. And then when the baby got, and then the baby was able to talk to them and stuff. The biggest thing in the movie for me was the bloodlines. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
house. You know what I mean? And that remember when homeboy, the young bald dude. You know what I mean? Made it with chick, and she's like, and the witches was like, all right, the process is complete. You know what I mean? This is
Right.
This should show you when we deal with interracial dating. You can love who you want, but when you deal with interracial dating, you can see how things, you know what I mean? How your bloodlines is crossed, how it can cause just a whole, you know what I mean? As you can distort the whole planet. And they were heavy on it. That movie to me personally is how we fell because of the, you know what I mean, the houses and stuff like that and how they intermixed and this and that. But as far as the worms go, the science of the worms, Kabbalistic, the movie Kabbalistic speaking, is that there were 72 elders. So you would say, like, who created in the Kabbalah was 72 elders. So you would say that the women would be significant of the elders. You couldn't, in other words, you had to be initiated in. You had to get picked. They picked that young girl to have the baby, and that you raise it. That's how we used to do it. Like, come here. You're going to get hit by this cat. You're going to have this baby, and this baby's going to say this, this, and that. For now, it's just like pinball. Like people just sleep with anybody. You create kids, you bring kids to the planet. The kids don't even know. They don't really understand to what they are to like 28, 29. In this society, or we're here in America, maybe 30, maybe not at all. You got to take like a couple lifetimes, but we're just creating machines. We're not creating human beings anymore. Just machines, people who are slaves, who are programmed bots. You see what I'm saying? Just like in the Matrix, just like you see Star Trek, you know what I mean, with the board, people are bored. But the significance of the worm in the movie was I wish I could find that book. It would nail it right on the head. Hold on. Where'd it go? Ah, there it is. Got it. All right. This is a book called The Mystic Spiral, which is the second greatest Kabbalah book it is. And in this book, here, let me show you. Just in general, I just passed it. There it is. The worms, creation itself. Right there.
Yeah, I see it. I can see it. Interesting. So you saying that the Kabbalistic worm was being demonstrated in the movie Dune?
The mandala. Usually worms represents mandala. I'm just in the pictures. So let me show you. So it'd be representative of the breakdown and the four worlds in itself, because they come. What we know is reality today comes in the form of a spiral. Okay. Let me show you. This is like the second. This is here.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Hello.
What we know is
That's actually deep, because when she broke that potion, you know what I'm saying? And she actually took all the energy from them 72 elders. And we know that the term 72 or the number 72 is very significant in Kabbalistic thought. But I wasn't even paying attention to that. So now I got to go and rewatch that. That's crazy.
And this is
That's crazy.
This movie is pre-AI. I mean, post-AI. Remember, they got rid of artificial intelligence. It didn't serve in spice. You know, the spice must roll or something like that. I'm a huge Dune fan. I like the books and everything. But I'm glad you said Dune. Hold on a second. The second, my table fell, so everything is everywhere right now.
Take your time, Doctor. We are live with Dr. Justin Russell, Kabbalistic Master, here on Optimizing Energy, from Darkness to Light, with DJ Genesis, and yours truly, the Mighty Hebrew. The doctor dropped his table, so he got books everywhere.
So his table just dropped just now?
Yeah.
No, it's like before we came live, he dropped. He's like, "Yo, Prince, my table just broke, and my whole demonstration is all on the floor."
Oh,
but it's
man,
all good.
it was all prepared, and now it's all okay.
Yeah, he good though. He got it now. He just getting.
You know what? The weirdest thing you mentioned, Dune. I have a book on Dune called Dune Philosophy. And it's the philosophy of Dune. It's the second. Hear me out. I need to find that book. Hold on one second.
Go ahead. I'm gonna drop you down so you can just look for it and then bring you back up. Go ahead.
It's the greatest book on the Kabbalah ever. And that's what you just mentioned, because it just stopped, because the table fell, everything hit the floor. And so I'm trying to clean it up and get ready for this at the same time. So, quick story. When you told me that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit him with that Dune book. It's a dope book. You need to get this book. I need to find that book. I'm sorry, y'all. It's a dope book. So this is how the universe works. This is how the Most High works. How this man mentions Dune, and I was like, wait a minute. I had that in the presentation, but I wasn't sure how I'm gonna fit Dune.
So the audience will know, me and you didn't even talk about this. We didn't have no conversation about this. So that's how you know it's in the ethers.
Exactly. That's how you know.
Just if nobody, we take the old school. Just come off the dome.
Right. But that's how you know when you have brothers and sisters and the people you know that's supposed to be around you. You may not talk for whatever time. But you'll pick up the phone with that person because we all have a life, we all have a different, you know what I mean? But you just pick up the phone and it's just like you just talked to them a couple of days ago, but you may have talked to them like a month. That's why, you know, time don't exist. 1,000 days to us is one day to the Most High, and so on and so forth. So that's how you know you have a brother or a true brother or sister when you just pick up and it's just like you never left off. You know what I mean? So that's that's how you can tell, because you have to watch these days. You have to watch who or what's around you, because you don't know what people do and they like I tell you what I do. I live an ABC life. If I'm not making some money, I'm studying. You know what I mean? If I'm not studying, I'm at the gym. If I'm not at the gym, I'm at the Indian buffet. If I'm not at the Indian buffet, I'm at the mall trying to get fresh. One of the ABCD. There was no wiggle room. No, I don't have any wife or kids. And the thing with that is, like, it's just not in the cards. I'm not going to argue, but look what I do have. I became a master teacher in esoteric chess. I became a master teacher in Kabbalah. I can't look on somebody else's test. You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people, I wish I had this, but look what I do have. How many people be like, I wish I had what you had? You know what I mean? And you get into that. But so I'm blessed and thankful for what I have. No, I don't have any wife or kids. And it did bother me for a minute. It was kind of like, like, damn, just to say something personally about me. But at the same time, I'm thankful and blessed and fortunate what I do have now. You know what I mean? And like I said, when you get into things like the Kabbalah, two teachers in the Kabbalah, sometimes you become a guardian of the galaxy. You have to guard this information. You see what I'm saying?
So, the Kabbalah, when I was starting to get into it, it had said that, you don't look at this, you don't read this information or get into this information until you're 40 and your belly is full of knowledge.
Right, until you're 40.
Yes.
They say until you're 40. They also said, like, only men are supposed to deal with it. The thing is, for now.
So why are only men supposed to deal with it?
Because that's the same reason why, even when I was reading Go, right? Like, I play Go. And there's a book that says, it talks about how men aren't supposed to play Go. Even in chess, it was only men supposed to play chess. It was a reason to that movie, the Queen's Gambit, that was really broken. It's because that was the first round of creation with the Ein. The Ein Sulfur was supposed to be a masculine principle, and then the feminine principle, which you get with the Shema and so forth. Which there's a book on the floor. There's a Shema. So there's an order, like when you say earth in Oriental terms, there's a natural law that one comes before the other, not necessarily that one's greater than the other, but one that matches each other's frequency. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, like, we in this society, it will look like, but men today and the information today doesn't even match what men was back then. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like a woman should reflect a man's knowledge. So it should be based Kabbalistically, period. Nothing else. But the problem is you don't have men that really have that type of information. Like, as a woman, you'd be like, okay, great. But most men don't have that type of information.
I'm not sure if Prince told you, Mighty Hebrew told you, but I practice the Ifa. I'm an Orisha priest.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some aspects of Odu that the Odu Ifa that the woman is not allowed to see, right? When especially certain initiations and things like that. And the reason why is because it's a woman. It's actually a uterus, another woman. Somebody even said that, hey, a woman can't see her own uterus.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if it was something like that the actual nature of this thing is that it is some kind of a thing like to that extent.
Now it deals more with the Ein and the order of manifestation itself. So with the Ein Soul and Iso Soul. All right, so let me read you this real fast. And I need to find that book. My student learner couldn't even get it. So in the beginning, there was Ein, a complete void, a vacuum. Now, you could say a complete void of vacuum would be a stargate or a woman's womb, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what they believe in Ifa too.
Mm-hmm. vacuum, not simply nothing, but not even. The existence of nothing itself, absolute, incomprehensible, nada, not this, not this. The goal of humans is to rise above the sphere of substance or the material existence and travel through the four spheres until we have become reunited with the iron. So, with that said, so you say iron, you can. I've seen some things that say the iron is feminine and the sulfur is masculine. But either way, I think we look at, and this is my personal opinion. I think sometimes we look at this from the Western point of view instead of the view of us being partners. You know what I mean? We live in a feminazi. You know, you see what Kabbalah. You know what I mean? It's a feminazi. So I think the layers have to be broken down that we actually look at as a unification instead of separation. So who comes first? You know what I mean? Me personally, I don't look at it as this is my own person. This is through my research. I see it's the iron as being feminine. And I just read it. You know, there was an iron queen. Now that means the feminists will tell you, like, yeah, you know, Rosie, you know, the Rosie with the, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're not saying that. And even if you deal with women, even if you deal with, like, if you go into Hinduism, Durga is not even seen as a woman. You know what I mean? It's more of a frequency. It's more of, when we deal with this, what's that book?
Well, I know that in Taoism, you know, they say that the light always yields to the dark. The dark, I mean, so it says Oyekun is the owner of Ogbe, right? So Ogbe is the open road, lightness. The darkness is the ruler of overtakes the light. You know, so the dark energy is the feminine energy, but like darkness yields to light in Taoism.
Correct.
So it's a symbiotic relationship that one has, not the one that one. It works together. It's not like one is more important than the other.
Exactly.
They exist simultaneously and in conjunction with each other.
Right. Me personally, I think people trip, like I said, you know, off of the actual physical embodiment of a man or woman. And then they take that as like
Literally.
Literally.
They take it into a literal format.
Literal form, and they also take it in the form of politics. Right. So the time it comes from the original scriptures down into like modern day, it takes the form of what somebody else wanted to be. You know what I mean? So somebody will take this in the way I got about 5 or 6 books can explain the iron soul, or so on and so forth. But people will take their own interpretation of it, take it up to the hill. You know what I mean?
You know, just recently there was an Anton Daniels was actually on was debating Yada, and they had a debate about the Garden of Eden. And about how, you know, because, you know, a lot of Christians like to blame it on the woman. Oh, she ate the plant, and then that made her have knowledge, and so then she made Adam, tricked him into eating it. Now we're all messed up. It's all the woman's fault. But really, the great point that was made was that Adam was sitting right next to Eve when they both were sitting there when God told them not to do it, and right. They both was there when the serpent told them to do it. They both heard the serpent. It wasn't Eve just decided, well, why not? I'm hungry. It looks fine to me, and ate it, and then they gave it to him, and they both was eating it. Like, this is some good fruit, right? You know what I'm saying? Basically, at some point, you know, so it's basically they both there, right? It didn't say they were both there. You know what I'm saying? Together,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So. That's what I'm saying. They're both on a crash out mission. They
both crashing out. Both, like what God said, we about to eat this fruit. Man, we naked. Ain't you naked? What the hell?
Exactly.
They high as hell, whatever they ate.
So there's another book I want to get. Just cross the line. But that's what I mean. We're separating. I think in this society, it's to separate man from woman. Who's first? Who's this? Who's that? You know, this is my own personal, you know what I mean? And I think it's like, yo, we both are in cosmic exile. Both of us. You know what I mean? So
we're at the same time.
We're here at the same time.
How could it exist? How can one exist to know each other? The difference. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so even with that, duality is no problem. We hear that. Shout out, rest in peace, brother Panic. That's even a Kabbalistic term. That duality, like us being dual, is the problem. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Us having a choice is a problem, and everything falling from that. Like we were one at one time. You know what I mean? There was really no, a woman and man. If you really, you want to go down that road, but you know what I mean.
The dark celestial waters are called Olokun, and this actually both male and female. That's the depths, the deepest depths of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's deep that you're saying that, because when we break down the symbolic understanding of the word of Ha'adam, it means the firstborn of the first rising with outstretched arms. So it was neither male nor female, but a being that had both masculine and feminine principle capsulated. And then when you start talking about Reb or the Zalar, that's just the feminine principle within Ha'adam. I think what's taking place is these Western, like you said, these Western concepts are creeping in. Like when you go into your Strong's Concordance, they'll tell you that the word Adam means man, which excludes the woman, verse letting us know that the word man goes back to the Sanskrit for manu. Means that in that retrospect, Adam is more of an ecological condition, talking about thought being born from the earth's surface of Adamah. So you're definitely correct, great doctor, and even the sister Genesis is definitely correct that, this concept of the man was first, the woman was first, when in fact we both was there at the same exact time.
Correct. And the fact is, when we go further, it's what happened before all this. And that's the thing, immanent and transcendent. The immanence and the transcendent natures and how they work together. That's before man and woman. If you even get into the concept of man and woman. And so when you deal with the Sephirotor, that's what you get into. What they do, and I have a book from a rabbi who says the immanent versus transcendent God. I'm like, it's not, they're not again, what's this whole versus thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's always they have to put the two together, but that's what they do. We don't do it, you know what I mean? And so we want to go right. So yeah. So we want to, what I want to do is go, and when we deal with the Sephirotor or the Kabbalah, is go beyond the whole notion of what we see in the Matrix. What constitutes the fabric of reality. We live in an artificial matrix. Let's deal with the natural matrix. You know what I mean? Not the hologram matrix that we live in today. Your bills, this, that, man, woman, child, up, down. Remember, choice is the evil. The fact that you can get in the gray car or your blue car. I mean, the cultists tell you that all the time. You know what I mean? There was no choice. There was one. I just wrote it down. There was the iron, the complete void, the unseen. They say in the Samurai Code, the body is a gift of life in the midst of nothingness. That is same thing as its form. You see what I'm saying? So we want to study. We want to get into that concept and then roll from that instead of just the mundane Malkuth things that happen. Because remember, the Malkuth is the Kata, which is the Da. So we want to work our way up from the 48 to Malkuth, and we want to ascend, transcend, descend down, and learn how to ascend as well. We know how to descend. We definitely know how to descend. We know how to shake our ass. We know how to do all these things.
We definitely know how to descend to Makuf. Correct. We don't know how to transcend back. Right.
We know how to do something.
And I think that's very important that you're labeling it the Sephirotic Torah, because, we do, as Hebrew Israelites, many of us do get engulfed in the letter of what we're reading versus the mathematics, you know what I mean, or the mathematical approach of the Sephirotic tree of lives that's outlined in what you're describing as the Sephirotic Torah. So let's get into the Sephirotic Torah, because I'm excited. I want to hear more about, because you're distinguishing from Sephirotic Torah. I don't know why you're distinguishing Kabbalah from Sephirotic Torah, And what is the differences, so to say, from your understanding and research?
Absolutely. So let's read. Kabbalah receiving is the name of the mystery school of the Hebraic principle, right? It was passed orally from the days of Moses and the prophets until the 12th century, all right, BC. Rabbis started to write it down. It is an esoteric method, practice, and philosophy born by the observation of relationship between human soul, the natural world, and infinite divine. How is that oneness became duality? How is that oneness became duality? So when we deal with the Sephirotor, it explains, like we was just talking about Adam and Eve. What the hell just what happened? You know what I mean? How did we come out of cosmic? How did we come into cosmic exile? You see what I'm saying? Can the human spirit find a way to overcome duality, transform suffering, and reclaim oneness of life as is nature, natural garden habitats? Natural garden habitats. So the Garden of Eden is our natural garden habitat. You see what I'm saying? So with the Sephirotor, what it does is we take the again, this is a naughty word. This is why I get into it with my brothers, but there's a book here called the Shema, the law, spirituality, and law of Judah. And
Interesting.
the Shema,
It's just, you thinking about Shema outlined in Devarim or Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 4 to 9.
right? The
Is
Deuteronomy.
is he giving it the mystic side of the Shema? Or you be having all kinds of books, man. I might need to find on that Shema that you got right there. What is the science behind that book? Because I know you.
Right, I'm around to see. That's the thing. A true scholar. The one thing I don't like about the scholars now, they'll say something and they can't show and prove. When I came up, the teachers would tell, like, first of all, they'd be like, "Here's the book. You go read the book." But they would say something and you'd be like, "Here's the references to what I said." You know what I mean?
Facts.
Right. So the thing with now is I'm very well studied. I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, right? The comparative studies. So I'm like, yo, that the Kabbalah, we don't say Kabbalah, we say Sephirotor. Okay, show and prove. We had to show, you had to show and prove. You can't just throw it out there and stuff. And then another thing, I seen brothers get mad. Like, they'll tell me something, and I'm like, okay, well, where'd you get it from? What do you mean? Where'd you get it from? So I can do my own research, and that's why I'm reading out of books. That's why I'm reading off my notes. And I'm like, I say something, here's the book. I say something, here's the book. So you can go go get the book, go research it, be like, oh yeah, that's where it was at. It was right here, this, and that. There's nothing. The problem with today, in the scholars today, right? Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants, like, the accolades, and they want the likes and the hearts. I used to be in classes, there would be like 3 or 4 people in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't about this before the internet, the social media, and all that. It was about the information. It was about educating people. It was about, the elders didn't care about likes and hearts. There's conversation having my elders that it was just a one-on-one basis at the park, just being him. You know what I mean? And so the one thing I'm trying to do now is bring that back. So that's why. So somebody be like, why does he keep reading? Because I want you to go get the book. Go get the book. I just posted something from Bobby. Bobby said that. So why should I listen to this nigga when I can get the book? You know what I mean? Niggas will charge you like $300-$400 for a class or a seminar for a book that he read. Just go get the book. You know what I mean? If I wanted to be rich off this,
you got that from Bobby Emmett.
No,
Bobby Emmett said.
Bobby, yeah,
Bobby Emmett made that statement.
Yeah, he said, "Why should I listen to this nigga? I'm gonna get the book." I was like, and that's
right.
You know what I mean? And the thing, Kabbalah, when you deal with the Kabbalah, we'll say the Kabbalah now, or the Sephirotor, it's all study. It's both. You have to, the books that you need to get. It's an Indiana Jones adventure. You really have to study. You gotta have like I said, 20 plus, 30 plus years, you have to, have comparative studies and so forth. I'm pulling from this, this, you know what I mean? You really have to be in your P's and Q's. And the one thing I'm going to say also about what's going on now is the hatred. There's a lot of sharp niggas out there too that hating on us because we are what they are. They don't see behind the scenes. They don't see the late nights, 3, 4 in the morning. You call me 2, 3 in the morning. So they don't see the late night studying while you're, like I said, when people are Netflix and chilling, I'm studying. When you're at the Pirates game here at Pittsburgh, I'm studying. There's a lot of things I missed out on. There's a lot of opportunities for women I missed out on. You see what I'm saying? This information comes first before anything. I just make sure the house is running. You know what I mean? I just make sure the house is running. But when I come home, I'll see what's going on with the penguin or something like that. But it's in this lab. And study. And that's what I tell these kids. And to teach something like this, listen, you have to be signed off. An elder has to sign, somebody has to sign you off. You can't just be like, okay, I want to get on social media. You have internet access, you just want to jump on. You have to get.
I said that. It's funny you saying that because I was making I was making a statement saying that's like the Shaolin monk without an abbot,
Right.
and this is the mentality that a lot of these brothers, me and you, we both came up in similar trenches, and there was always that teacher-student relationship, and many people are just going on social media, and then they'll read a few things on social media, watch a couple videos. Now they master teachers. Ain't nobody get them no, here, who did you study under? Who are your teachers, etc. They don't have no name. They now to the point like, oh, we don't need no teachers. I'm my own teacher.
Right. I'm my own. I mean but that's dangerous to the people. And there's people who go for that because that's dangerous because there's loopholes, especially with the Kabbalah. The tree of life is switched because the Golden Dawn, they put shit out. You know what I mean? Aleister Crowley, some of his work kind of switched around. So you really have to really break it down. You have to break down the difference between the Kabbalah. I just showed you the book with the Q, which is workbook for magicians and stuff. So that's a workbook. They saying that the Kabbalah is a work. No, it's not. they didn't even mention this is a workbook for those becoming Hebrew Israelites coming out of cosmic exile. They said workbook for magicians. So what the hell are they talking about? So you really have to break it down, and then we break down more. There's more to break down. People don't really know what it takes to do this, and I don't think people have what it takes. There's many times these bolts are very expensive. These bolts are very hard to find. You have to go in certain areas. You have to know certain people. You have to relate. You know what I mean? There's so many ins and outs. It looks fun. Yeah, you get people. Oh yeah, hey, aren't you? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what it takes to do this, and I tell this to a lot of kids because I was that. I was like, I want to teach, and I was like, pause, sit back. You ain't time. And I'm like, wow, I know what I'm doing. I know. I'm about to get on now. Now I see what they were saying. Now I'm 47. I'm like, oh, I get it. So now I tell these kids the same thing. They be like, yo, I'm on. I want to pause. There's some things you need to live out. You have to walk with this information. You see what I'm saying? The books that I have, I'm just now getting to. I bought 3 years ago. You see what I'm saying? But even books when I read, you have to walk with this. They have to grow with you. You mature. That's why I said I came off the grid because I've gotten new books on the Kabbalah that I was like, okay, it's new information. I had to sit back. Now 3 or 4 years later, this is like 2020 or whatever. I'm coming back into it. Now I'm speaking from those same books that I read 3 years ago. But now it's molded me as a person. It's part of a walk talk Kabbalistically. There's nothing I don't do that's not Kabbalistic. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing with the information. You can't just take this information 3 months later. I'm on social media yapping my jaws about something that you had. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's people like me, people like you, we can see it. You know what I mean? And I try to talk to these people, and that's the thing. The greatest thing I ever learned, and I always tell my students this, I know we're getting off base, but I mean, sometimes it's good to chop it up. Spirit takes over, we just chop it up. But the greatest thing I ever learned from my elders is selfless servitude. Learn how to serve. Learn how to shut up and sit down and listen. You see what I'm saying? Like, you'll see me, like, for instance, when I was in Osira set, you'll see Ron Efraim Men, you'll see his, counterparts, you'll see my teacher, and then you'll see me in the back, just like quiet, just listening. You know what I mean? Observing. Did you hear what he just said? My teacher will look back. Did you hear what he just said? What did he just say? You get quizzed. You just constantly getting quizzed. And okay, do this, that. You see what I'm saying? They don't have that. You don't know how to serve. You don't know how to be humble. You don't know how to turn certain things down. You see, a lot of people in this community, conscious community, get caught up in BS, i.e., polite. You know what I'm saying? Things that can be avoided if we had the right teacher. Because if I do something wrong, if I do something that's out of pocket, I got to answer to my brothers. I got to answer to my elders. I'm getting a phone call. Like, when I get off of here, I'll get a phone call from my elder. I'll get a phone call, this, that. You know what I mean? Just to check in and stuff like that. You know what I mean? These people don't have no one to check in. They can just go hog wild and not answer to anything. See, that's not now. You can't do that. You know what I mean?
I have a question. Are some of Malachi York's teachings Kabbalistic in nature?
Through nature, yes. Everybody takes from the Kabbalah. Everyone. Like I was just mentioning earlier with the Freemasons, you know what I mean? Yeah, everybody takes from the Kabbalah. Like I just posted showed the book with the Kabbalah workbook for magicians. It has nothing to do with magic. The Kabbalah has nothing to do with magic, but everyone takes it. Everyone takes the core, and that's the thing with the Sephirotor. It's the core. When you pop the engine of I was going to say less than 120. When you pop the hood of the scriptures, this is what you see. Transcended, the eminence nature, how they correlate with each other, how we get to a oneness, how we come out of a cosmic exile, and so the divine mathematical nature of the scriptures. So you can go the Kabbalistic route or Kabbalah Q with the Q to C and K, go that route, or you can go. You ever remember those books back in the day? Pick your own adventure books, or with the go to this page, you go to that page, you go this way. That's the same thing. So,
and what was the difference between the Q and the K Kabbalahs?
The Q is like the Hermetic. The Kabbalah is like for the Hebrew Israelites. So that's based in Adam. That's based in Moses and the teachings of Moses and so on and so forth. The C is where you get into the magic. The Cabala. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
But most people, like for instance, this book I just posted, this book right here with the Q, that's where you get the tarot readings and so on and so forth. And that's the most you'll see. The K.
So that's like a form of divination for the Hebrew. With the Q, with the people that practice the Qabala, would they have been considered Levitical priests at the time?
No, not necessarily. I would say more with the Q or the K. Even you'll see something say Sephirotic law. So somebody will say like Torah law. Well, it's really Sephirotic law. And so that's the thing with me for my teachings when it comes to Kabbalah now. It's the Sephiroth and the Sephirotic nature that binds to everything that goes on in the Torah. You see what I'm saying? Because there's only the Torah. That's it. There's only the Torah. There's no New Testament on it. I get into my brothers all the time, Hebrew Israelite brothers all the time, about this New Testament and the J guy and this and that. I'm like, listen, I don't know what y'all like. You got to show and prove to me that. You know what I mean?
Well, there is proof that there was a being called that existed.
It was a being.
What exactly, as far as his connection to the Yahweh and all that stuff like that is to be seen. But
there's a book. Was it Mystical Jesus and Historical Drice by I got the book over there. I got tons of books, but in any nature though, in the nature of it all, it's Kabbalistic. Now it's with the K. It's this one. Like books like these. This is the one. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you want to be a Hebrew Israelite, you would go for this one. Matter of fact, hold on. Okay, perfect example. This is where everything gets ringed out, right? So this is a book here. It's called the Kabbalah, the mystical heritage of the children of Abraham, right? But look, he uses the Q. He should have used the K, but he used the Q. And if you
So Q is hermetic.
right, the Q was like magic, because what would be the difference between this book, what deals with the Tarot, right, and the Kabbalah, and this one? You see how it can get? You see what I'm saying? You see how it get all switched up? This is supposed to be with the K, but he did it with the Q. And if you go through the book, there's nothing in the tarot in it. It's everything. Look, it's everything. You know what I mean? That's Kabbalah scriptures. That's the one before the 12th century. Anything that came out before the 12th century. This is what I mean with the Kabbalah. It can get very, very.
So would this be correct? So the Kabbalah would be considered like a hermetic magic, and then Kabbalah is Hebrew magic.
Correct. And skew it. See, that's another thing. The magic part. Skew the magic part.
So what is your definition of magic?
Somebody with a top hat and a cane walking around. I like to use divine mathematics. I think the whole magic thing right now is so diluted and so like me personally, I don't deal with it. I deal with mathematics. I deal with divine mathematics. Mm-hmm. I deal with the Iron Soul and how the Iron Soul brings down the vessels, what we call this Sephiroth.
I know in E5 we have a divination system that is based on the binary system of mathematics. Mm-hmm. Is that similar to something that you guys have as well?
How does this come into existence? What's underneath the hood of this? Of Adam Kana. Of Adam. This is it right here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When it comes to magic, I mean, I have books on magic. I have to study on magic. That's just not. Yeah, I don't like the word magic used with the Kabbalah. Mm-hmm. When people do it, that's why I'm taking the route of Sephirotor. Then because it just gets, you know what I mean? It gets so confusing and just, you know what I mean? With the Freemasons, with the people who are freelance Kabbalah writers. With the Sephirotor, you need specific books to study. There's a book called The Unified Factor. These books are Sephirotor books. They might not say Sephirotor, but once you read it and once you have an understanding of it, then these books come into play. The Sephirotor, the psychology of the Kabbalah, right? This book, even though it says the Q, but I'm able to see these books. And when I go in the bookstore and I go through it, I'm like, wait a minute. Give me that. But if somebody didn't know, they'd be like, oh, it's with the Q. But you see how they wrap it around. And I think, again, I'm just going through channel. I think he did that purposely. I think some people do stuff like this with these type books just to throw people off for people who don't know. You see what I'm saying? Another Sephirotor book is Reflections to Infinity, the Introduction to Quality. These books break down the Sephiroth in itself. You see what I'm saying?
What is the name of that book again?
Oh yeah, Reflections.
Oh yeah, I seen that book before. I heard that's a good book.
Yeah, that's my joint.
When you actually get into magic, right? They say that the definition of a magic is the secret doctrine. I've heard about that. What's her name? Ayn Rand. Right? You ever heard of Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand.
Now put me down.
Ayn Rand. She's a well-known Kabbalist, but she's also a eugenicist. She's a Jewish woman.
See, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, I
think she was the mother of eugenics.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
See,
I think she was from Germany or something like that.
Yeah, so things like that, nigga. That's what I mean.
She was from Russia. I'm sorry.
When you get into the Kabbalah, you graduate. There's a graduation. You know what I mean? Like there's Reverend Rabbi Berg, the Madonna Kabbalah. There's, you know what I mean? like I said, the Hermetic Kabbalah, the Magic Kabbalah. You know, I have hundreds of books on the Kabbalah, and all read. But when you come to it, you understand that there's a core, of course, transcendence, and how it works in emanation. And so how that tilts us with each other creates the paradigm of what you see today on how we come out of cosmic exile. You know what I'm saying? So there's the Dion Fortune book. This would be a Sephirotor book. Okay. I think that's the question. I think I showed you that. Oh, I just got off. Okay.
Remember that right there? You gave me a copy of that book.
I sure did. I sure did.
That one right there. That one right there is fire. That's fire.
But see, that deals with the Sephirotor. And see, that's the thing.
Right.
Is right. So that's the thing. It's like these books go this way. The Kabbalah can you say. So any person, the books I just showed you, you can play this back, get these books, and then study for your own on how to come. Because at the end of the day, this is what you do for the rest of your life, the rest of your time. You see what I'm saying? We can't just be like, what is the Kabbalah? And it's like it'll go, and now you see it goes in 10 different directions. So if you go to Sephirotor, it's specific to this. It's just like 120 math. Like, question, who's the original man? You're like, well, you can't make up nothing. You have to be direct, or you know where I'm from, you know what it is. You catch an L, you say something different. I'm not saying I'm gonna put no hands on nobody if you say something different. But what I'm saying is it'll be incorrect. You can't distort what the iron soul is. You can't distort what the Yahweh iron soul actually is. It's mathematically based. That's why another book you should get is called Where Mathematics Come From. Excellent book. And most of our people, like myself, come from mathematical background. Like I took time when I first came into the information, I studied math. I broke it down. Because it was like, well, why don't I just study math? You know what I mean? Not the cornerstone for quality of what we learned in school. Because when you come out of school, I dropped out. I wasn't, I got me fucked out. I dropped it. But and I came back with blah, blah, blah. But the one thing I did is break everything down. You have to deprogram yourself. You have to reprogram yourself. Reteach yourself how to eat, to brush your teeth. You brush your teeth wrong, how to drink water. You have to reprogram yourself because we all know it's the military. You know, every school is a military. So the time I did, I was like, you know what? I was terrible. I was a DNF student in high school. I didn't care. I was like, yo, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I had information on the Tarot at the time from the gypsies that raised me. That's how I know so much about the Tarot. You're supposed to use plan cards. You're not supposed to use, there's no such thing as tarot readings or tarot cards. They're plan cards. They use regular plan cards, right? I got the book. I'll post it somewhere in the room. So in this connection to the Kabbalah, there is a connection, but again, they use the Kabbalah to calculate what goes on the tarot. And that's what Aleister Crowley said. I got the book. They use.
Oh, rewind that one more time with that, Alex. Okay. Say that one more time. Break that down.
They use the Kabbalah to calculate the tarot. So the what you see in the Kabbalah, like in this book, how they'll be like the Queen of Swords and the Pentacles and this, that, and they'll use like Sephiroth or, you know what I mean? Or that's incorrect because first of all, the tree is off. And then this is not fortune telling. We're calculating divine grace. We're calculating the purpose of life. You see what I'm saying? Or this is the matrix. So it's a 010101. So you know what I mean? And then you don't know who you're listening. And then with tarot readings, as you don't know who you're listening to. Most people are possessed. Let's keep it a buck. If you're on social media and this and that, and most people, most men, especially women, they deal with, how can I say this? They play on social media, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean? As far as with pornography and this, that, games and stuff, those things are possessions. I tell kids all the time, especially young men, to stay away from pornography because when you watch that, there's millions of people watching that with you. You inherit that energy that comes off of that. So if that girl that you're watching is something happened to her or something happened to you, inherit that. It goes into your DNA strand. It goes into your matrix code. So you need to stay away from, paradigms, getting the qigong, dong quad, you know what I mean, martial arts. In other words, when it comes to that, replace porn with martial arts. That's why I tell these kids, like, you don't want to get, because it's all over the place. Because you take that home to your families. When you watch that stuff, you take it home to your wife. You take it home to your boy, your husband. And then you wonder why it's 3 a.m. You're arguing with each other because it's like a display. You know what I mean? So it what it does, it just destroys your auric field, destroys your whole brain. That's why you see these men look like mush, because they're sitting there playing games and watching porn. The one dude was telling me he has on his TV screen games and porn in the middle, drinking Mountain Dew and eating hamburgers and beats at 2 a.m. Where do you think that's going to get you? And you can't study. You damn sure can't study the Kabbalah and think you're going to do all this madness and stuff. Absolutely not. I'm not going to take on anybody, no man who watches pornography. That's a death kiss. Pornography in 21st century, it was death kiss for us back in the day. But we ain't had the knowledge, the wisdom, understanding. We had the knowledge with, it's cheap. You know, because I deal with young men who had that problem. You know what I mean? And I'm like, look, this is how you do it. Because when we was coming up, it was VHS and shit like that. But now it's bonkers. I mean, it's just complete man. And I feel bad for these young dudes who don't really have, because my life is dedicated to young men, especially young black men. They don't have nobody. I mean, they don't. Most men that talk to them, they want something out of them. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they go do something, it has to be on social media. You see what I'm saying? It has to be shown. Most of the stuff I do, I don't even post. You know what I mean? There's things that I do for the community you'll never see in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
So here's a question: which one do you mainly practice? You said you practice the Kabbalah, Kabbalah, that one, or the Q, the Hermetic one? Are you the Hebrew or Hermetic?
I don't practice Kabbalah. I study and master the Sephirotor, which would come from the K.
Okay.
Right.
So which is the Jewish
which is the Jewish one, right.
Okay.
Quote unquote would be the Jewish one, right.
Okay, so actually we should have put the K at put the Q instead of the K. Okay. Yeah, so that we have cleared that up, because the Q is more Hermetic, and then the C is more Christian.
Right? Christian, or then you deal with the magic, and then you get into the clip off, which is the dark tree. Like, that's what the white people get into. They get into that deep, and they start dealing with demons and all this stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. And so what part of the Jewish mysticism in the Kabbalah do you practice this, or do you deal with as a priest or as a teacher? Do you just teach, or do you practice it as an actual practitioner?
I study.
Okay.
I study. The practice, there's nothing really to practice. It's more to understanding who you are, why you're here, where you're going, and what constitutes the fabric of reality. And that's the goal of studying the Kabbalah. And again, wordplay, wordplay is key, because that's the thing. Like, when people deal with the Kabbalah, they be like, well, I practice, or I'm a Kabbalist, or things like that. I
know that, like let me give you an example. In Ifa, because that's the only thing I can draw from. That's something that's similar, because I've never practiced any other tradition outside of Christianity, and I practiced some Egyptian beliefs, and then I went into Ifa. In Ifa, you have different levels of priesthood. You have the Babalawo, then you have the Orisha that have different functions within the community. So, is the Kabbalah also set up like that, or is it just the study guide for your own personal growth?
Your own personal growth. That's why people link it with the Torah. I mean, the Torah, the tarot.
Okay.
The tarot in itself is your own personal growth.
So the tarot, you meaning the actual tarot card, card reading.
Not the actual cards, but the tarot in itself is for your own personal growth and development.
So what is the tarot, and what is it different? What is the difference between the card tarot and just the tarot that's in the Kabbalah?
Well, there's the tarot and there is no tarot in the Kabbalah. They use the Kabbalah, like I was saying before to the brother Aleister Crowley, and this is out of his book. They use the tarot, use the Kabbalah to calculate the tarot.
Okay.
They take the teachings of the Sephirotor, which is the engine to what you know is the Kabbalah, the C, the K, the Q. They take that and they use it to calculate what you see as the tarot in the card. So if you look at most cards, you look in the top left hand in the correspondences, you'll see Hebrew letters, and you'll see. So, matter of fact, it's in the cards. But I got a deck. I have a tarot deck, and the correspondence is a Hebrew letter. That's why you'll see the tarot card. What the fuck was that? Sorry, it's been a long day. She's holding the Torah. The one lady's holding the Torah. So
when you have the tarot deck.
Is it right?
Oh, okay. You got the okay. But it's not even.
So, and what I was speaking about, the Ace of Principles, the Minor Arcadia and stuff like that. Yeah, this is an excellent book here. It's called The Book of Tarot, The Spiritual Key to Understanding the Cards by Zahar. I got this at Barnes & Noble for $5. So, you know what I mean? This is an excellent book that explains how they took the Kabbalah and applied it to the tarot.
Okay. And then they created a system to be able to divine for people.
Right. So they can. Right.
So when they say spirit is saying this and spirit is saying that, are they what would they be considered? What could be considered spirit
for the tarot?
Yes. What spirit is that? Is it like an angel or what? What's the actual spirit?
I mean, they deal with the angel concept. I mean, there's tarot reading, there's different tarot cards, but the original tarot in itself is the Sephirotor. So I'm about to get to you. That's what I'm looking at right now.
So would they like find a number and then it would correspond to an actual verse in the Torah?
You see, like how, yeah. Let's see how they lined up with the regular cards.
Yeah.
So let me show you. I'm gonna show you something right now.
You know, when I was actually younger, it was a lady from Mexico that actually taught me how to read playing cards. I actually, believe it or not, I actually know how to do a spread with some actual.
Oh yeah, I learned that. I learned that when I was like 9. I had a gypsy teach me.
Yeah, she wasn't a gypsy, but she was just a Mexican. She probably was a gypsy. She also was able to like blow, like use her cigarette and blow it, and it would come out as the name of the person that you were dating or like liked you or some crap like that. I was like, wow. So she was like a magical person.
Here, you can see it. Here it is right here. So it says tarot and the Kabbalah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I see it. Tarot and the Kabbalah.
Let me read real quick. Okay. Kabbalah means received tradition. Yeah. A term previously used in other Judaic contexts. It's also a term used by medieval Kabbalists for their own doctrine. To express the belief that they were not innovating, but merely revealing the ancient hidden esoteric tradition of the Torah.
Okay.
Let me read that again. Kabbalah means received tradition, a term previously used in other Judaic contexts. It also used the terms used by medieval Kabbalists for their own doctrine. To express the belief that they were not innovating, but merely revealing the ancient hidden esoteric tradition of the Torah. So, in other words, this is out of a tarot book. This is explaining how the priests back then, right, with the deals with the Q, when they first started printing it out. Before it was, remember the Kabbalah was never written. You know, it was like the elders, the 72 elders, it was whispered to someone whispered to them. It was never written. Once it started written, that's when all hell broke. Like the 12th century on, all hell broke loose, and then that's when you start seeing this. Where you see with the it getting matched up with astrology, the tarot, the things like that. So let's read a little bit more. The ancients wondered about the nature of the universe. Several ideas were developed independently by different cultures throughout the ages to understand the nature of the material, including man. And spiritual worlds, like the classic Greece believed in the example, the world is made up four elements: air, fire, water, and water. Now we know that came that came way before, but a theme that was still implicit in the Torah and differentology is the different meaning. Kabbalah is the esoteric interpretation of the sacred knowledge in Jewish mysticism. The Judaic Kabbalah tree of life is known as the separating bodies of the Iron Sof, God, the Endless One, manifestation, creation. Wherever the world mysticism is derived from the Greek verb meaning close to encounter, and so on and so forth. But as you can see, this is taken, they took that information and used it for what you see now in this book. And this is actually a good book for the because it breaks it like, look, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing here. They even got the the I Ching and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, the I Ching. So those are other forms of divination. So it sounds like to me is that tarot was the divination form of the Hebrew mysticism
Of the Torah.
Of the Torah. So tarot is related to the Torah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So you ever notice that the gypsies at some point were really, really the ones that were very known for tarot? Why do you think that is?
Well, that's when our Moorish brothers and sisters come in, because the original gypsies were Moors, or even like with the Hebrew Israelites. But even with that,
it was some Israelites teach that the gypsies were Israelites from the tribe of Dan.
There's some. So this is that time with Moors and Israelites, where what I mean, and even at the Kabbalah. So when you say the Kabbalah, also there. Like I said, this is going to change again. There really isn't like a Kabbalah. You know what I mean? There's only the Torah. And so when I say Sephiroth Torah, that's just it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's only Torah. There's only Torah Constitution. So we say the Sephiroth Torah to relay the fact of how do we make sense of the constitution of reality.
So you're basically saying that there's a Torah that you read, it's a regular book, and then there's some kind of underlying deeper understanding of it, and that's what the Kabbalah is? Is that what you mean by the Sephiroth Torah?
They say there's a written Torah and there's a hidden Torah.
Oh, okay.
The Torah would be what you would say the Kabbalah.
Okay.
Was the book in your hand, and then there's the meaning, deeper meaning underneath, which is what the Kabbalah is.
Okay, that's what I was, yeah. Because if you say the Sephiroth Torah, like if you're not a Hebrew, you wouldn't know what that is. I didn't know what that was.
A lot of people.
What does that mean? Sephiroth Torah. What does that?
Right.
So,
right.
Does that mean like the deeper meaning? Sephiroth? Does that mean like the deeper? What does Sephiroth mean?
The Sephiroth is what's the. When you say this, I would say law. On its own means, you will have to get into the understanding of Shema, which is the book I just quoted. So it's law and Judaism. This is the Sephiroth Torah book. So you do it law and the laws that govern the Torah. So it's more wrapped up into who we are, why we're here, where we're going, what constitutes the fabric of reality.
So is there like a similarity to like, how like they say in the Bible that you could actually, if you read it correctly, it's actually a book of astrology?
No.
It breaks it down into like different ages and different, the age of Aquarius, Pisces, this, that, the other?
No, it's a way of, okay, say like 1 + 1 = 2, mm-hmm. Right? It's a way of the Sephiroth will be 1, 1, and 2. The Sephiroth, which is the 8 to 10 or 40 or 44, whatever you want to say it, they're to be the Sephiroth. So
are you saying like that? You said that you reading the Torah word by word, you would pick those certain words and then come up as a sentence or something, like a puzzle inside the Torah?
According to the laws that govern the Shema, which is more spirituality involved. So like how we were saying earlier about what's that book?
So if you were so just reading the Torah straight up, you would get one thing. But if you actually understood some kind of something like more of what you would say gematria or like a number numerically, you would be able to like get a deeper meaning that's a hidden meaning that is in the same book.
Right, the Metro to Maria, so on. But
And most of that stuff is really like discussed amongst priests and
there you
brought
go.
out, kind of like an oral tradition.
That's the thing. That's like a spirit's taking over, and so what you're saying is like it's rolling out. So it's like yeah. So basically, it's like what you see in scripture. There's a bigger picture. There's an underneath picture, underlining principle. But with that, you have to. For me to explain it, it's tough because it's difficult to explain on certain levels because it is, esoteric.
You don't want to say the wrong thing and tell too much information because it's like it's hidden.
It's the thing
So only a certain group of people are supposed to really know the information. So it's hard to talk about something without revealing everything.
That's why you don't see many
Kabbalists talking on the thing.
it.
I've been introduced, like invited to Kabbalah things. I've been getting like they be calling me and everything, and I just never have gone. It's
I wouldn't. I would never.
I need to go so I can like figure out what's going on. I had some Kabbalists. Actually, a guy that I knew who would spend who had life in prison. I don't know where he got these Kabbalists at, but he got them in prison, and he had like a whole like encyclopedia thing of Kabbalists, like 21 different, up to 21. I don't know how many there are total.
That's a Zohar. Was it the Zohar?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Zohar. It was it yellow?
No, it was like a brown.
Mm-hmm.
They come in brown. They come in brown too. But yeah,
it was brown. With yeah. Yep. It was okay.
Yeah. So the layman's terms, they pop the hood of a Sephiroth in itself. It's the imminent and transcendent nature of the Most High. So you will have to just study it, but you will have to know divine mathematics to know it.
It sounds like it's a school of thought.
Right. This is school of thought. It's philosophical in nature. It is philosophical in nature. But like I said, earlier, how do we observe reality?
Which explains to me why men wanted to, like women were not allowed to be a part of those organizations that would sit and have these conversations, because that was like almost like how 5% Nation be having their building session with the men, and they just for them to, it's like that's just that sounds like a paternal organization.
But also understand
paternal priesthood.
You have some schools of thought of Kabbalah that manifest our everyday lifestyle by the way of upholding the Torah as well. So you might have those that understand the deeper meaning of the Torah, but through repetitious practice. Like for instance, you keep bringing up the Shema. So we know Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. You might have the commoner, say it during the Shabbat, but then you might have an Israelite sage or seer. They may chant to activate certain energies within the self.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have surface level people are doing it for traditional reasons, which that's cool and fine. But deep tradition, you have others that do it to make actual things happen within the multiverse. You know what I'm saying? So it's a deep subject, and for you to really be a Kabbalistic master, they say sometimes it take up to 40 years.
Mm-hmm. The rest of your time on this planet, yeah.
It's just, they say the same thing about E5 because it's like over 400,000 stories, and it keeps growing plus one. You know what I'm saying? Like every time things change, stories get added. And the same thing with Orisha. People, they add Orisha too. You know what I'm saying? So, the interesting part is when it comes down to these things, is it seems like it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the systems that were like, I would say, the roots of civilizations, different civilizations, had holistic systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had a community of people, and that community had a spiritual, like Chinese people where you have what's called a Taoism.
Yeah,
Then you
right,
had a Hinduism in India. So these were the religions of a group of people, right? And
right,
so within those religions, you had your surface level understanding, but then you had the deeper mysticism of priests that actually worked in the community in different ways, whether it be for a health society, maybe to divine for the king, to let people, to predict what's going to happen, maybe if war is going to happen, something like that, if you should conquer a certain land, etc. Right?
right,
So it seems like all these systems were similar in some way.
right.
Like
Yeah,
if you go to
like,
the Mayan civilization, all the way down to like probably part. I'm sure if you went to the Aborigines, whatever they're called down there in Australia, was it the Tasmanians in Australia? They probably had their own civilization that was similar in like deeper esoteric knowledge that fit the whole community that was a part of the community.
mhm,
At best, they're the religion that is a part of the entire community, and it's priests.
mhm.
And this you have your surface level priests, and then you have your other, uh, the ones that kind of know how to manipulate energy type of
Right,
priests.
right. There's a part of that.
Because I think that those are two different things. You have your priests that kind of run the community and make sure everybody in the community is straight, but then you have your other priests that you go to if you need to make a change, or if you're sick, or if you need to get some medicine or some herbs or something like that, that understood herbs, body, mind, spirit, and the whole connection all together,
Mhm.
right?
Somebody who was, I mean, yeah, in the community, you'll have somebody who deals with um, health and nutrition, dealing with, but again, you have, um, like even Kabbalah, there's foods. I have a book on Kabbalah that deals with foods you can eat, you can't eat, stuff like that. You know what I mean? You have to deal with dietary laws. Like for instance, there's a vegan thing, like vegan craze. Everybody's eating watermelon. But you still can get sick if you follow the scriptures and follow then you can't. There's no way you can get sick, no matter what's going on. The C word and everything. The C word. I can't say it on social media,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what I mean. That what happened the past couple of years. Like I didn't get it. I never will get it.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you study these things, when you walk and talk Kabbalistic things, when you know what I mean, when you're Torah centered, Sephiroth Torah centered, it's like a magnetism. There's a magnetism. There's something to look to you. You know what I mean? People look and you walk in the mirror. Everyone does this. You know what I mean? That you just can't. Nothing on a lower frequency can affect you. It's just like see the movie. Remember the movie The Matrix? Remember the guy sent that pod to that lady and changed. He had a code in the pod, and it changed her and how she did whatever she. You know what I mean? It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. See, those
Right.
things, everything, symbols, frequencies, and numbers. This is a divine magical context to reality itself, and that's what the Sephiroth.
Yeah, not to cut you off, Doc, that's a lot of people don't understand when you're dealing in the Hebrew language. Our letters is also our numbers. So we
Mm-hmm.
got many that read the Torah based strictly on the numbers alone. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And that's a whereas then you have others that read the Torah based on the letters itself. So let's say for instance, um, Allah, Allah in the Hebrew for the Hebrew is also our number one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just using that as an example. So, and this is where you all can get people from.
It's
You
hard
know
to
what I'm
understand
saying?
what you're saying. It's hard to understand.
You
Where is
can't
your
hear me?
Yeah, your mic is sounding muffled, like almost like you got the mic like underneath here talking. That's really weird.
You can't hear me?
It's better now, but it was kind of hard. We
Yeah.
had to kind of lean in to kind of make out the words.
I'm saying that our numbers or our letters in the Hebrew language is also our numbers.
Right.
Right. Symbols,
Yeah. Some
frequencies.
people might read the Torah only based on number. People might read the Torah only based on the letters. That's what it sounded like he was saying.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Symbols.
and then when you get into the number reading of it, that's more your Sephardic Kabbalah.
Both. That's when they all come together.
Combining. Okay. All right.
Together. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so basically that's how gematria. So would you say gematria is that science of
Right.
knowing the numbers of certain things? Like you could take my name and find out what that number is, and probably even go into the Torah and find something within the Torah that can break
Yeah.
down me as a person and things like that.
Yeah, there's a Kabbalistic encyclopedia that does that.
I wonder why. But the average person that is a Torah believer or a Israelite, would they be for this way, this Kabbalah way, or would they consider this to be taboo?
Taboo. Trust me.
Okay, because would that be considered like witchcraft or something like that?
Yeah, it's what they. Okay, so this is my thing because I'll have.
And what do you think witchcraft? Do you think, because they think I'm a witch too?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get a hat on my head.
I think
And get a cat instead of this little chihuahua. I'm gonna get me a black cat and just be, yeah, your little dog too. Just be a witch all the way.
absolutely. Yeah, I think. You know what? I was saying this the other day. I mean, I'm at a point. It's 2024. Man, if you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone has a phone. Everyone has access to information. If you don't, like, what are I'm moving on with the intricate. We have the technology. We have the resources now that we didn't. When I was coming up reading the Kabbalah, it was hidden with the elders. You had the elders only put certain things out.
You're in the age of information.
Right. It's like I would say
type it in and there it is.
Now you can, if you really, 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 really want to know, and I'm on here talking about, I showed the books. You read these books, you're going to be on. You're going to be on it. You know,
yeah.
You're going to be on it. So it's like somebody after reading, like that's the thing with the society. It's a very selfish, impatient society. It's a thing of how does it benefit me on a superficial level? You know what I mean? How does it benefit me from outwitting the matrix? You know what I mean? Is it gonna make me a millionaire? Nobody cares about causing exile. Nobody cares about the relationships the most. You know what I mean? So this is what I tell to my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, like who argue with me. I don't argue with anybody. It's 2024. I'm not arguing with them. I'm like, listen, if you don't know, you don't know. There's none. I'm moving with people who want to learn, who want to break it down. Like again, the worst thing back in the day, as an elder would say to you, is that you're unteachable. There's some people who just you know what I mean. We're on it. Like, what was that movie with Will Smith? What was that Will Smith movie with the? I don't watch that many movies. What's it? Him and the dog.
I am Legend.
I Am Legend, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm Legend. We're at a point now where we're going to load up helicopters and blow up bridges and just take off of what we have. Like, to try to convince people, to try to tell people, like, okay, you know what I mean? Well, this is what Kabbalah, and argue with people. It's like, you know what I mean? This ain't 97, fam.
I hate that they even came up with that word witchcraft, because it's like, man, it limited everybody. It made people basically shut their brains off.
But this is
where they will not go any further. It's like they said, listen, sit in this box right here and don't go nowhere. Don't read nothing else. This and that. Don't cross this line. Don't cross that line. And they said, they said, I'll be right back. I'm going over here. They said, don't go over here. Nigga, they went over there.
But you know what? I mean, when we understand what Kabbalah is really about, that's a good thing that everybody don't know. And let me tell you why it's a good thing. It's like giving a baby an atomic bomb. You see what I'm saying? Because if you look right now, just from the surface level information that a lot of people have on social media, look how they're causing the information to go to the profane on national TV, or if you want to call it social media, whereas though it was very imperative to protect this information because we understood the danger of putting this in babies' hands. So when you see people that think a certain way, it might be good that they might think that way. Because let's say if we put this information in the hands of a maniac, we may not know he's a maniac, and we're feeding this person information, and this person go destroy half of the planet. Because when you really get deep into Kabbalah and you understand the Sephiroth tree of life, and you know how to manipulate these elementals within the structure of Kabbalah, you could fuck the planet up. So we gotta be that this type of science, it's for everybody in the sense of manifesting as a collective body politic subconsciously, but consciously it's only for those that are part of the initiated adapt system within the community that you are part of. Because if we give this science to anybody and just the surface material that they got right now on social media, look at what they're doing with it. You have them quotes be modern day quotes being created. Yeah, if you can mute your mic real quick, DJ Genesis.
I'm not
Mute your
saying
mic real quick. I know, but the that okay, there, yeah. When when you look at what's going on right now, you got these modern day cults coming just on this from surface level material. You know what I mean? So just imagine these maniacs sit amongst real master teachers in these different high sciences, whether you talking about Buddhic science, Kabbalistic science, whatever the case may be. They can destroy worlds. That's why it was so imperative and important that certain people were selected, like when we was talking earlier about the movie Dune. And you remember that lady was selected. It wasn't meant to be just any person. Hey, this dude can only evil, only evil. And if he bringing that with an evil heart, then he's going to open up something known in Kabbalistic thought known as the Gulf. And when you study the Gulf, it's like entities that can become used and manipulated and cause destruction. And so we better be very, especially people in our position in power. And it was something that you said to me years ago, Doctor. It used to be hard for me to interview you because the pinnacle of seriousness, how you dealt with this, you didn't want it to get like just open to anybody because you understood, and to this day you still understand how destructive it can be. So to say all that is to say, if a person can just type up Kabbalah on Google, even though they're not going to get the full effect because they don't have a master teacher, but just the surface level, and then they cause mayhem on social media. Imagine they sit amongst a master teacher and actually really get the jewels itself and then go out in the world. They're going to start destroying. So this is
well,
not
I
meant
would
for
imagine that by the time they got taught by the master teacher, they will have overcome that aspect of their thing. That's the whole thing with master teacher. If the master teacher's a master, then he should be able to bring that person out of whatever that lower chakra of energy, whatever it is. Before,
well, that we can use the movie Star Wars. Look at Anakin. And look how Darth Vader became evil. Even though he sat amongst these master teachers, he still became evil. If you go get the if you go get the movie Shaolin versus Lama, you remember how the dude studied under the Shaolin monks, mastered all the 36 chambers, but because of his evil heart, he still was an evil Shaolin expert. So even though you may sometimes have, master teachers teach students to become masters, sometimes they can become evil because sometimes the evil can dominate them. to such a point that they can become evil, even though they become master teachers themselves. And that was the problem when you see the Qing that always wanted to overthrow the Shaolin. You had a lot of in the Wu Tang that sided with the Qing. The Wu Tang was an off branch of the Shaolin Temple, but they became puppets for the Qing dynasty, and they were wicked as hell, even though they mastered the arts of the Shaolin. And even as time developed, they even developed their own style by sitting in the center of the yin and yang with the sword, but they still became evil. So this is not for everybody. It's not. And I advise any real teacher, whether you're talking about even in the E5, you're not gonna have no master priest just give the jewels up to just anybody. They have to be initiated in certain degrees. Because like there's certain things DJ Dennis, you're not just gonna publicly just say. You see what I'm saying? Because
Well,
them
Judaism itself
elders,
isn't Judaism a closed practice itself. That's it's really only meant for people that were born into it or initiated into it, right? They make you have to learn and teach. And if you were to go to, you can't just go into Judaism. You have to get initiated into it.
you mean like go to a state of halakha or conversion? Well, not initiated. You got what is called halakha, and you can convert. But if you're talking about the mystic side of Judaism, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah.
Well, even in listen, see, when people think of initiation, they think it's a whole elaborate. Well, a baptism is initiation. That's an initiation.
If you saying it like that, then yeah. But I'm talking about you got
Most churches you have when you get initiated through baptism, then you get put through a program for like weeks.
right,
Then you become a member of
right,
the church. So,
right.
so,
But mystic Judaism and rabbinical Judaism or Reform Judaism is different. If you're dealing with rabbinical Judaism, either your mother is the Jewish and you become Jewish, or you just go through halakha and you just convert. Versus mystical Judaism, you are selected. That's the difference.
same.
Like you see what I'm saying? If you have like Kabbalistic, like in dealing with somebody who's at university, I'm the surface level of Hebrew genesis, the Hebrew anthropogenesis to the common people. But when you come into the ancient Hebrew royal seal, then there's going to be certain things that you're going to get that the common person, and they will be an Israelite, but they still won't get. The whole point that we saying, or that I'm saying is, when one understands the Sephirotic tree of life and the power behind it, it's very dangerous just to give to anybody.
Well, that's why I said you
Because
should be 40 years old and your belly full of wisdom before you actually get into the Kabbalah. You should not. You're not supposed to actually start getting into it until you get it of age. You can't just. It'll otherwise it will drive you crazy or something like that. I think I read somewhere it could drive you nuts.
It is exactly. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, what's so interesting is that by 10, my child's father, he was in this group called the Order of Divine Reality, and they practiced Kabbalah, but he was very young. And they used to, and I've heard stories of like things that they would be doing with some of that knowledge, using knowing how to box people out and different things like that, using numbers and all type of stuff. They, because they were young, they're drawing certain symbols and stuff, and putting people's names in the middle of the different
you can
metrical
take some
shapes.
heads straight. You can
Huh?
take some heads off. Once you take some heads straight on, like, you remember how like,
I cannot hear you, honey. I can't hear what you're
you
saying.
gotta mute, your mic. You gotta mute your mic. Yeah. So when you see like politicians and presidents and prime ministers, a lot of them cats deal with Kabbalah. See, the difference is a lot of people that get in these types of, situations. Like personal verse, they're using power to control masses of people. So that means that they understand the frequency that I see you got that, dog. They understand the frequency of Kabbalah that the common person don't know. Like, I hear us all talking about, and I don't mean us, I'm talking about in general. You'll see on social media, people will say they got all this mystical power, but they're not asked if you have the mystical power, as you said, why can't you help us get out of captivity? Because those that are in power, they're using Kabbalistic thoughts and processes to keep us in captivity. Why you think they actually went to Egypt and took different Egyptian edifices are literally from Egypt and stationed them in different parts of the United States? You know what they are? That's force fields helping to keep us in captivity because they understood through Kabbalistic thought that you can put energy inside of or encrypt them inside of blocks. That's why, if you notice, when you go to a graveyard site, they have tombstones. Now, those that understand these higher sciences understood that you can encapsulate the spirit and the soul inside of a rock. This is where the concept of Medusa comes, turning a man into stone. So, having this understanding, these people understand a whole nother frequency of Kabbalah, a whole nother, because everybody, whether talking about good or evil, they're using a form of Kabbalistic science. Whether they're using it for their own self-gain, whether they're using it for the upliftment of their people, whether they're using it to keep people in captivity. The point of the subject matter is when you put this type of science in certain people's hands, it's going to be a devastating blow, just like you see right now. The things that's going on right now that you see that's going on in our communities, that is all orchestrated by those that are manifesting Kabbalistic science to keep us in the state that we're in. So now we got to reverse the process, and this is why we got here like Dr. Russell, who can help us the leadership understanding with the Sephardic Torah to combat what they're doing. People ain't just sitting up in office because some niggas sat them in office. They sit in there because they want rituals, seance, and manifesting certain experiences that they abstracted and manipulated Kabbalistic thoughts to keep. So the real power is going to come when we know how to use these tools to our advantage to help us get out of captivity. Hallelujah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's the. Let me read again. This is from the book of the Kabbalistic Mirror of Genesis, right? It says right here, the Sephiroth can become prisons when the mind is trapped in fixation to their attributes and the wisdom lost. Each Sephiroth, like this all phenomenon, is an earliest expression of the wonder and the majesty of Ein Sof. They're using Kabbalistic science against the planet, everything, but it's on a deeper level. What constitutes the fabric of reality? You see what I'm saying? So people are not going like, look, I just brought this book out, the holographic exception. This is the engine. This is Sephiroth Torah. How you perceive. They take this information. They take information like this and flip it to a point you don't know what's real, what's fake. You don't know the real world. You don't know what's. You know what I mean? And then that makes you a slave to the machine. Because you don't know what's real or fake. You don't know what they flipped on you a couple years ago. I know what they did because I know the Kabbalah. I know what there's certain things that happen, certain things they say on TV, handshakes, this, that, numbers, blah, blah. You see football players, so and so get injured, and I'm looking at his number. I'm like, I see. I'm like, I see y'all. You know,
See, and that's the part that I was saying where it says it could drive you crazy, right? Because when I first started getting into E5, because a part of it is like, just look for the signs, the symbols, all that stuff. And so it would be when you first open up your mind to it, there's so many symbols coming at you, it's like crazy. Numbers and stuff popping out. It was like, whoa, thank God I was able to calm myself down to where I didn't just go into like a complete insanity trying to decode all this stuff that's going on. There's a lot of things. And then I fooled around and I went under. When I had my baby, I had a C-section, and they put me under with ketamine fentanyl. And I realized, I said, this feels the same as what happened when they put me under on ketamine. And you know what I saw? I saw pixelation. I saw what looked like a computer screen. And when I was coming out of like the fog of anesthesia, I saw what looked like a computer. Like that you're in like a program, like it's like a computer program. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that started tripping me out, right? So the reason why a lot of this stuff is I believe it's like basically a big old like computer. Like this whole thing is just a program, like a matrix computer, And when you understand the sciences of that and you get deeper into that, that's why like I said, in E5, it's done like in a binary code because we're in a matrix.
Right.
That's why when you do divination, and so then you say, if all this stuff was, here's the thing. So the Torah says that this stuff is witchcraft, right? And we're not supposed to do it. Now, is it that the common person is not supposed to do it, and then the priests are allowed to do it, and it's not witchcraft? Like, at what point, if there's a thing in the Torah that is Kabbalah, a deeper meaning that's based on numbers and all that, blah 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 blah. What in the world? You know what I'm saying?
Right. It got to be made clear. It doesn't say these things in the Torah. What it tells us, it's talking about dealing with the lesser sciences. When you read in the Hebrew and it tells us, do not deal with divination by the way of the other nations. We got to understand what was going on in ancient times and the warfare that was going on with these nations that were around us. So they was just like, here's an example. If you go to the Moabite Stela, here's a form of divination. If you go to the Moabite Stela, roughly around 845 BCE, in line number 18, you will see King Omri, okay, King Misha, going up against King Omri, and he's using divination to go up against the children of Israel and Yahweh. But he was using it in selfish means because he was a king. He was using a form of divination to destroy the children of Israel. So when one sees, do not practice necromancy, sorcery, it has to be understood in context and in content that it's talking about us not being like the other nations around us that was doing certain things and manipulating elementals to destroy us. Because the reality, just like you got evil nations now, you had evil nations too. So it's not, because when we look at the Levitical priests, they dealt with certain sacred sciences that could be labeled today as divination. But the context has to be understood. What does it mean by us not dealing with divination? It's very simple. It gives us the answer in the 7th chapter of Deuteronomy. It's telling us, do not imitate the ways of the other nations. So do not deal with the sciences that they're dealing with, because it will be in our disadvantage. You understand what I'm saying? Versus our advantage is to understand our spirituality based on how we see fit within our circumference. Versus, let's say, hypothetic, if you got over here these Japanese people, they're dealing with a form of divination, but it's encapsulated in their culture, but they're using it in an evil way to destroy man around them, nations around them. And then from there, let's say a couple of us try to imitate what they're doing. And then you, DJ Jenny, you write down, you say, do not do divination. Boom, boom, boom. That's what they're doing. That's what them verses mean. It's not saying that we didn't deal with a form. I don't like, and I'm like DJ, not DJ, Dr. Russell. I don't like using these terms, magic, things like that, because in ancient times, them terms didn't exist. So we gotta, you see what I'm saying? So we gotta get out of this mind state when we hear, oh, it's in the don't practice necromancy, sorcery, divination. True, but it has to be understood. What does it mean when it's telling us this? It's telling us do not is the ways of these nations around us that we're warned against. Because once you pick up the ways and act like the nations around you, like the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Medo Persians, all these nations that have activity, it will weaken us as a people.
Okay,
Remember,
so if that was what the purpose was, not to practice things and match up, do the same thing as the nations around. Okay, now that we've gotten that established, okay, so Kabbalah has divination, has I don't know if they have
no,
they have
Kabbalah have divination. It was put, no,
so the
people use
tarot.
Kabbalah.
So people
That was
use
asked.
Kabbalah for divination.
Right.
Okay, now Kabbalah is not a book. Kabbalah is a way of looking at the Torah to break it down numerically for a different message, that hidden message, correct?
Kabbalah is the Torah. When the Kabbalah looks in the mirror, sees the Torah. The Torah looks in the mirror.
You're correct.
Right.
Kabbalah in is the underlying Torah. See, that's
Hold on.
say this.
Let me.
I know. Yeah, mute your mic. See, it's like this. It's like a person. Say if I'm a professor in mathematics, right? And when you first learn how to count, you learn to count from 0 to 9 or 1 to 10, right? And as time develops, you adding, you subtracting, you're doing decimals, division, algebra 1, 2, 3, a calculus, trigonometry, logarithm. The matrix of mathematics is elaborate but simple. So say if you come into class and we already on a college level, so that means you missed everything that was previously said. So if you reading something and you wasn't taught the understanding, you're gonna be lost. You're gonna be like, huh? Because we already done surpassed that portion of the studies of mathematics, and we making formulas, we making atomic bombs, we doing all this with mathematics. We dealing with solar power, et cetera, et cetera. But you come into a area where we done surpassed all the basics. So to you, it's gonna be like, huh? What are you talking about? Because you wasn't there first. Y'all can hear me?
I can understand you. I can hear you. I'm just trying to. What I'm trying to do is come to an understanding, like a straight, because I thought that I kind of understood what you were saying before. Now I'm back to, okay. From what I understood is that you have the Torah, right, and then you have your basic understanding if you read the Torah with just letters.
Right. The Torah is the Constitution. Look at the Torah, the Torah as the U.S. Constitution. In the United States, you got a Constitution. That's the Torah. But beneath the Constitution There's higher sciences that is connected to those that are initiated in certain schools of thought. It's that simple. It's
Right.
not complex.
Okay. No, I mean, listen. All right. So what I'm saying is that okay, I got that right. So what I
Yeah.
was trying to say is that okay, certain people read the Torah and they read that this whale is a submarine now and it's got the person inside the belly and he's living 30 days and 30 nights and then finally the whale spits him out. You guys read that
Oh,
if you're a Kabbalist, you're gonna read that story a completely different way, and it's gonna mean, well, this word actually means this because if you break it down, so now you're gonna break things down numerically and different things, and be able to understand the words from a different way.
yeah,
Then you're gonna
yeah,
get then if you get the numbers of the words, you know that okay, well this is this number, and now you break it down even further, and that is where you get like that whole Kabbalistic study is when you break things down, and break it down, and break it down. You know what I'm saying? Even further,
yeah, yeah.
from
So the
different stands.
story, yeah, so to make it clear to the audience, the story of Jonah, I got to make it clear. The Torah is only the instructions for most. So you got 248 positive laws, 365 negative. The story of Jonah is inside what you would call the Purim, which is a part of the Tanakh. You're correct. You might have somebody that read about the story of Jonah in the belly of the great fish for a certain amount of time, and then from there you might have a Kabbalist that break down all the numerical sciences. That's absolutely correct. That's true. Now, when you dealing with Torah, and I'm gonna keep telling people this, the Torah, when you look at the Mona, the government community is ran is because the Torah is being dealt with as a constitution that governs a body politic. The Torah cannot be followed by one man. It has to be followed by a collective body politic of people because you might have laws for the military. Deuteronomy 20. That ain't for everybody. Then you might go to Wayikra, Leviticus 15. They might be laws for purification for a woman. That ain't for a man. Then you might have laws for a priest. Then that's a whole separate thing. And within that priestdom, for example, they might have a whole nother system that may not even be known to the common people. Even if you go to those that be in the military, there's just certain things in the military that's just not for the common. That's basically all the doctor is saying. It may be on the surface level for everybody. Yeah, here's a military, we got a sergeant, we got a lieutenant. But when it goes to certain things that are top secret, you're not going to know nothing about that. Why? Because if the common person know about certain things, it can destroy the whole nation. So I encourage people that have a certain eyesight of certain things that we know that can be detrimental to our people. Don't give that to the common people because the common people are dealing with common nonsense. And we can see today the way that the people move. If you give them this type of knowledge, it'll destroy them. They will destroy themselves. So surface level material, yeah, you can give them that. The Sepher Yetzirah life and
We pretty
stuff
much
like that.
established that. The main thing I'm trying to establish is like okay, so now that we've established the difference between Torah and that Kabbalah is just a deeper understanding of Torah, that
That's it.
a mystical level. Okay, now we get into
Yeah.
the laws of the Torah where it's saying, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't practice sorcery.
Yeah, I always
Don't
explained
practice
that.
sorcery, right? So
Yep.
if you are
Now, how
getting
about
deeper into the deeper sciences of those things, and so you're saying you can be able to break down these things and understand them, but don't use them. Is that what
what
that
I'm saying?
law?
No,
Hold on,
what
no.
I'm saying,
Let me finish. When you're saying
but
don't
that's not what
practice
I'm
it,
saying.
does that mean
I'm saying don't practice
that
other
in the,
people's ways.
I'm not talking about
That's what I'm saying.
so okay
That's
that's
what it said.
listen,
That's what it said.
there was only one time that it said that. There's other times when it says not to practice sorcery in the
Yeah,
Torah.
but you gotta, But
So you're saying
no,
every
it's not.
time
No,
that they're saying
no,
not to practice sorcery in the
no.
Torah, that it's only talking about
Yeah,
doing it
that's
the way that other
exactly,
people are doing it
that's exactly, yeah,
every
yes,
single time,
exactly.
and not just when
Every time,
don't practice sorcery.
listen, this is very simple, sister. The way that you're trying to impose it is
I'm not
as
trying to
if it's
impose it. I'm trying to be
hold,
clear.
hold
I'm
on.
not
It's
trying to
very
impose
easy.
it.
I know. Listen. This is very simple because this is always brought up with you.
No,
Listen,
not with
when
me.
it's
Listen. Oh, no.
hold on, hold on,
Not with
hold on,
me. No, don't. We're not gonna
hold
do
on,
this.
hold
We're
on,
not gonna do
hold
that.
on. I know.
Not
Hold
with
on.
me.
When we're
Okay.
talking about don't kill, you got to understand Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. There were nations around us that was dealing in the dark arts.
I'm
So
talking about
in that,
Leviticus. I'm not talking about
oh,
Deuteronomy.
let me finish. It's all throughout Exodus, which is Shemo, Wayikra. It's all over the Torah. Every time somebody rolls up to deal with us with the dark art, the law is always reiterated, saying, "Do not do the things of the nations of the earth, for they are contestable against me." So when you see
So,
where
do
it
you
tells you,
understand my question? But before we go into a tangent, do you understand what my question is, though?
I understand what your question is.
What is my question? Because it's always great to
Listen,
answer it, to give the question that I'm
is
asking
this
and
a debate
answer.
or are you trying to understand? Is this a debate or are you
No,
trying to
I'm trying
understand?
to. Okay, I'm trying to understand, but I want to make sure because you're going into a tangent, and that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm
No,
my,
listen.
let me just re-answer my question. Okay,
Yeah, I
right.
know
I'm going
what
to
you
answer my
asking.
question. I'm going to
If you
ask
ask
my
for,
question again. I want to be clear with the answer. Okay,
okay,
because all right. So there are ways to break things down, and those things would possibly. I'm trying to figure out are those when you're saying that you can study Kabbalah, but when you practice it, that's where sorcery comes from.
There's no sorcery.
no,
Yes.
that's not what I'm saying. That's
Well, if
not
you
what
were
I'm
to take
saying.
that information, no,
Listen,
I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm trying to understand from a Torah perspective when it's saying don't practice sorcery, don't practice witchcraft, don't practice
let's talk about the
divination.
other nations.
Yeah.
So,
The
so, so,
other nations.
so they're saying don't. There's okay. So they're saying you can practice witchcraft, but just don't do it like the other nations. Is that what it's
No, we
saying?
don't. Listen, stop. We don't do some things. See, that's what I'm saying.
Terms.
Listen, that's stop it. You cannot incorporate stop. You cannot incorporate a foreign thought in another cultural thought. Where it tell us don't deal with necromancy or what you're labeling as sorcery or witchcraft, is talking about us imitating the ways of the other nations that were coming against us with their spirituality. It's
Right.
telling us do not be like the
But
whole. If you
don't
look at the
take
Torah
on
here,
their practices.
hold
Don't take on their
on.
practices. So then you say in
If
Kabbalah,
you look at the Torah, it's
that
all
is the
the nation
Kabbalic
practices.
practice of Torah. That's their own
They're
magical practice. So you wouldn't say
It's
magical
our
practice,
own
but their own
mathematical practice. Because you got to
mathematical
understand,
practice.
predicated on mathematics. When you say magic, that's a lesser science of mathematics.
How
Like
no
for instance, let me the
Manipulation.
word.
math,
Listen to what I'm saying.
magic is very scientific.
Mathematics.
It's not.
No,
It's not.
listen, what you're calling magic, sister, you really talking mathematics. That's what you're talking about.
Right.
Because
I know that.
everything in existence. Okay, hold on. What I'm saying is everything is predicated on numbers. Everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. So what I'm saying to you, we had a way of dealing with the multiverse, and we didn't have to imitate other people's ways because a lot of them cultures were dealing with the lesser sciences. Why do you think right now I can get into hypothetic juju? I can get and I can manipulate certain entities or certain lesser scientists to do my bidding, so to say. You have nations and tribes that done that. You see the Europeans right now Why do you think black people in America in captivity? You think black people in the captivity just because they want to be in captivity? Or are there nations that's dealing with certain sciences and mathematics that's helping to keep them in captivity? It's deeper than surface level. So when you look at the Torah, where it tells us, do not do this, do not do that, we gotta understand the nations that were around us and the things that they were doing, like Balaam, the story of Balaam. Remember, he tried to put a curse on the children of Israel, and then that happened. Then we get the law reiterated again. Do not do this, that. So it's only being repeated twice, my sister. You see it happen in the book of Shemot, Exodus, and then you see it in Deuteronomy again. The word Deuteronomy is a Greek word that means to repeat the previous law, which goes back to the Hebrew word Devarim, which means these words. So what I'm saying to you, sister, there is nowhere in the Torah that it says that we can't practice a form of mathematics to come up against our enemies. Meaning, if I need to go to Dr. Justin Russell and say, look, these evil bastards is trying to do such and such to our nation, get into some Kabbalah, make something, that's lawful. Now, where the unlawfulness come in at is, let's say, if I try to have Dr. Justin Russell go to the Babylonians and use their form of divination to stop our enemies. Now that becomes a problem. Verse, we got our own system. There's no need to and you that's all I'm saying. So again, divination may be good. If the Babylonians got a form of divination, it's good for them. If the Egyptians got a form of divination, that's good for them. If the Greeks got a form of divination, or the Chinese that's captured in their culture, that's good for them. But what's good for us is what's outlined in the Torah, and as the brother called it, the Sephirotic. That's all I'm saying. So
That's why.
Say that one more time, bro.
That's why. When I started. That's why I did the talk of taking it this way, because now it's all wrapped up in the K, the Q, and C. We got to take this route. We got to go this way, because now we're using words jig, divinate, this,
Okay,
that.
so now that we have an understanding that the reason why okay, they're saying, so is it saying that you have your own mathematical system that you use? You don't have to use the Tau. You don't have to go to the priest of the so and so. That you have your own system within the Torah that you could use. The question I was saying is that, all right, if you go to
we go to our priest sister, but the Levitical priest.
right, so Leviticus 19:26. That's the verse I was talking about, where it was saying about. So that's why I was asking. So are you guys only so is it that you guys can study the information but not use it? Because if it says do not do specific things, you're saying
no, it's saying with they do. We can do it in our own custom.
Okay,
this is easy.
What part? Okay, listen. Hold on. Let me just.
That verse that you using in Yetzirah, or Leviticus 19:26, it has to be understood with Leviticus 11:7. Because remember, let me prove what I'm saying. Remember when the story with Moses having the staff, and you remember when the priest of Egypt, they turned the staff into a serpent. And then Moses did the same thing. The difference is Moses' serpent swallowed up the other serpent. Somebody just hit me up on Yahweh because they watching. Azariah's watching, and he just said, this is easy to understand. What I'm saying is what you're reading is us being contestable against the nation's powers and understanding the divination. So Leviticus 19:26 must be understood with Leviticus 11:7. The problem that you have, my sister, is first of all, the way you read in the Torah is totally incorrect. The way you're reading the Torah is based on how he just said the offerings by the priest is a form of our divination. That's what the so the point that I'm saying to you, my sister, is you can't take one verse in the Torah and come up with a conclusion. You have to go
No,
upon
no, I'm
precept.
not making a conclusion. I'm asking a question. Excuse me.
I know,
I'm
and
not.
I know,
I
and
would no, no, sir, sir. Listen. Okay, I am not coming up with a conclusion. Okay, I am trying to understand how the Kabbalah and the Torah is able to still have any kind of if you had a Levitical priesthood that did certain things, like was okay.
okay.
This are the Levitical priests the people that looked at the Torah in this way, or is this like just anybody could just start being Kabbalists? You know what I'm saying? How,
No,
what
we,
is
we
what
already
is the
answered that question.
context? What is the
We
context?
answered that question for you
I know
already.
that you already
We just,
answered it, but what the problem is that when you're saying that that you could because then you kind of said, well, we had our Levitical priests that did this.
and
You
we
didn't
still
need to
got out
go
of it
to
today.
other people
We
to
still
do
got into that.
stuff. So they did do divination. So it just seems like it's just I mean
No,
I'm confused.
we said mathematics that you're defining as divination. And just for the sake of argument,
So
I'm gonna
why
make
did they
it
just say
simple.
mathematics or whatever? Why did they say why did they use the word divination?
Because you didn't use the word mathematics at that time, sister. This is very easy. This is very simple, sister. One thing, the problem that you're having, number one, with most people that pick up the so-called Bible, is that they read the Bible in a religious sense. You
Right.
cannot read it like that.
Yeah.
Remember, the Torah is the constitution of ancient Israel. We're talking about litigation. This is what we're talking about. So you might need to deal with 5 to 6 verses just to understand the one verse that we're talking about. You can't just take one verse and say, see here what it is. And then I would say, well, what does it actually say in the Hebrew itself? You're putting up this English
Okay,
verse
let me
and
find
you're
the Hebrew one. Okay, let me find the Hebrew.
no, no, that's not sister.
Yeah. That's
Okay, so
it's just not.
I'm a Hebrew language. That's not how you deal with Hebrew. I'm gonna show you what most religious people do that deal with the Hebrew. They'll go to a concordance, a Strong's concordance, and they'll say, I'm gonna go to 3, 6, 5, 7, and it says such and such. The problem with that is that them Hebrew words are mistranslated in the Strong's Concordance. The Strong's Concordances are translating Hebrew words based on how the King James Version was translated, not directly from the Hebrew. And furthermore, that's modern Hebrew. And the Torah is written in
See, that's
pictorial Sinai Hebrew. So you can't even use this Hebrew because that Hebrew is in the abstract, not in the concrete. So what I'm saying to you once again, sister, the verse that you're using in Wajikida, falsely called Leviticus 19:26, has to be understood based on what the nations was doing in divination. The Most High told us, don't be like them nations that's doing this, that's doing that. It never said that we can't do certain things. Like for instance, if you was my wife's sister right now, and I felt as though you committed adultery on me, and the spirit of jealousy comes into my spirit, I will go to the Levitical priest, take you to the Levitical priest, and say, I feel as though this woman committed adultery on me, right? And you know what the Levitical priest will do? They'll create this potion that you will drink. And if you committed adultery, your stomach will pull up and it explode, thus proving you committed adultery. If it don't happen, then you didn't commit adultery. Now, if you want to say that's a form of divination, okay, fine and well. The point is, the other nations don't. That's all that's saying. It's not saying at all we can't deal with no form of what you are defining as magic. What it's telling us is don't do the magic that the other nations doing. Just like when you look at the 18th chapter of Leviticus, and it talks about a king, and you hear Israelites misquote, and not all of them, many of them saying, oh, it was never intended for us to have a king. Well, if that's the case, why would chapter 18 give us the law of the kings? What it was is we wanted a king like the other nations. You see the difference? The problem, it wasn't that we wanted a king. The problem was we wanted a king like the other nations. The problem isn't magic, quote unquote. The problem is that we wanted to do magic like the other nations. We
Right.
wanted to do divination like the other nations. We didn't want to do divination that was given to us through our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, through the power of God. We wanted to do divination like the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, all these different people that were around us. We were trying to imitate them. That's what Leviticus chapter 19:26 is talking about, sister. It's
I don't know.
not
It's
talking about that.
I don't know. So you're saying that even so, okay. When you
Right.
read it in context, right? This is like what God said to Moses, right? 19:26 is what God said to Moses. Now the reason why I'm confused is because it's a bunch of different
Oh
laws.
my God, people is watching. They're catching on to exactly what I'm saying. I can
Okay,
show you their comments. The only one that's saying they don't understand is you. People are literally
I'm not. Listen,
inboxing
your
you.
people are all Torah. What the hell? All those people you're
No,
talking to are all Torah
no, I'm
followers.
talking about
I am
regular
not a
people.
fucking Torah follower. So sorry,
Why
I
you
don't
gotta
get
talk
it.
to all
Well,
that?
because it's getting you're yelling, and I'm like, dude,
Because you're
I'm
asking a
trying to.
question.
I,
It's
I'm
good.
allowed to
What
ask
I'm
a
saying
question.
to
I have
you about this,
understanding.
it's simple. It's simple,
It's
sister.
not simple to me
That
because
you
if
cannot
this is
think
just
of.
a group of laws
You,
of saying
you
don't
have
do
to.
this, don't do that, don't
What
do
I'm
this, and
saying.
don't do that, and now you're trying to
Let
say
me ask
no,
you
and
something.
he's saying
Let me
no,
ask
don't
you
do it
something, sister.
like the other
Let me ask
people,
you something,
and
sister.
that's not exactly
And
what it's saying.
Ephah, and Ephah, and Ephah, listen, I'm talking you something about Ephah. Can I just come in and Ephah? There's over 258 sayings in Ephah. So to understand one, you might have to get other sayings to get a complete understanding. Can I, as a
Actually,
foreigner
no.
of this book, hold on. I'm a foreigner. I'm a foreigner in E5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just go and take one verse and say, well, it's saying such and such, but then the Babalu is saying, no, it's more deeper than that. It's not what you think. You're just reading something and not getting the whole context. You're taking one verse and you're saying, see, it
No,
says the same happens. What I'm saying, we to that verse. The verse itself is the witness and codes that led to that verse. That is what I'm saying. Chapter 19, verse 26, you have to understand what led to that verse. What led to that verse being said. And what you're going to find out is that the nations around them was doing, like, for instance, you see how we were sacrificing our children in the fires of Moloch? That is not an Israelite custom. That is a Canaanite custom. We adopted that. That's what Leviticus chapter 19, 26.
Bad
Be
man.
like some put your children in the fire. This is easy. This is light work. It's clearly telling us, don't do that. With people around, go to Leviticus 11. God was it? I make a difference between you and the people of Kemet. Why? Because they worship Hathor, or the golden calf, like on a whole nother level. And the Egyptians looked at the Hebrews detestable because they sacrificed. When you see Moses into the mountain, what did we do? We fell acting like the nations, and we took all our gold jewelry and all that, and we built that golden calf. Did we not? That's what Leviticus 19:26 is talking about, sister. It's not telling us we can't do no form of magic at all. It's telling us don't do the magic of the nations. Don't act like them. Don't follow their ways. Don't follow their customs. Don't follow their gods. Don't follow their divination. Don't follow their sorcerers. Don't follow their witches. Don't do none of that stuff. Burn them to the stake, the Israelites that act like the nations of the earth. And you know what proves it? Deuteronomy chapter 13, when it tells us, if one that is close unto your bosom that come to you and try to stir you away from the creator to lead you to another power, you are the first one to put him to death. Leviticus chapter 9, 26 has nothing to do with not being able to practice magical powers against our enemies. As long as we're doing it in the name of Yah Yisrael, we can do divination. As long as it's in the name of Yah Yisrael, and we've been outlined to us by the Levitical priest. Divination, magic, whatever name, mathematics, whatever name you want to call it, as long as it aligns with us in the Torah, we can do it. But when it comes to them and their customs, no, we don't do that. That's what Leviticus 19:26 is talking about. It's not just a verse that's just thrown out there and just say, oh, don't do it. Because the question would be like, why? You just giving us a verse. What the brother said, I am posting this message in reference to the conversation. They right now in the Louis joint because people watching. You can go right in there, DJ Jefferson, talking about it.
Honey,
The whole point that
I posted in there. I'm the one who said divination is just a way to get something. Offering is not divination. Offering is just offering something. You know what I'm saying?
But
But what I'm saying
understand,
is that I used to be a Christian. This is not my first time ever reading the Bible. Okay, so
but that's how I read the Bible.
okay, you guys call it the Torah. We called it the Old
But
Testament.
you don't. But the Torah is not the Old Testament.
So is
The
it there's
Torah is
a
just
completely
the
different book aside from that's not in the Old Testament? The laws
Listen to
of
what
Moses?
you just said. You said I used to be a Christian. The Torah, the Old Testament. That's my point. You have to be taught
Or
by
it's
real
in the
Hebrew math. The Torah, listen, sister. The Torah is inside the Old Testament. The
okay.
Torah is just a law. Listen, the Torah is just the Constitution. That's
Okay.
it. It's not the story. None of it. The Torah is do not murder, do not steal, keep the Shabbat, keep Passover.
Okay, I
Where
get that.
we
Okay, I get that. I
it's
get that. And what I'm showing you is 19 through 26 when God was speaking to Moses. I'm not showing you a story. I'm showing you when God was speaking to Moses. And so I didn't see anything on there where it says don't do it like the other nations do. I thought that he was giving the laws. Respect your mother, respect your father.
okay, sister. You right, sister. I just clearly
when God
broke
gave the
that
10
down
commandments,
very easy.
let me ask one more question. When God gave the 10 commandments, was the 10 commandments only for us not doing things unlike other people, or was it just commandments?
Well, let's be clear. Yah didn't give Moses 10 commandments. He gave us 613 commandments. Because you see 10 is the introduction of a greater body of commandments, but that's not leave from there. Let's stick with Leviticus 19:26.
No, 19.
You bring up a
19:1
I know.
I went back.
It don't matter. It don't matter. You can start. I know you can, sister. You can start at verse 1. I know, sister. I know you can start at verse. I know, sister. I know you can start at verse 1. I wouldn't care where you start.
Okay.
The point is, when you understand the nations that were around us, and if you understand the Torah, you can clearly see that the Torah contradicts the customs of the nations around us. Like, for instance, here's a prime. Hold on, sister. Here's a prime example. We are told, do not mix the milk with the calf, or do not boil the calf in the mother's milk. Mm-hmm. Now, one might be like, okay, if a person just take that verse, they'll just be like, oh, God said, do not take a calf and boil it in its mother's milk. but they don't give you the explanation. Well, the explanation is because that was a Canaanite custom. And what the Canaanites used to do, they used to take baby calves and boil it in the mother's milk, and then take that milk and put it on their crops, because they believed that that milk that the calf was boiled in would give them a greater produce of the crop. And they dealt with forms of divination with it. The Most High told us don't do that. But if you just take the verse alone, there's no explanation. It's just God told us don't do it. Verse, there's a historical narrative behind the verse.
Okay,
that's
so
the whole thing with Leviticus chapter 9. And this is reading fundamentals 101. Even if you read a novel, you can't just take one part of the novel and run.
No, listen to me. You don't have to condescend me in order to make a point.
I'm not condescending you, sister. I'm just saying that you're saying things. You're going inside of a book. That's like me going into Ephah and trying to explain and trying to come to you and say to you what Ephah saying. And I'm like, and you're like, no, that's not what it means.
Listen. So here's the question, right?
But everybody understands except you.
Excuse me. Hold on. Listen. I don't give a crap what nobody else understands. I'm trying to.
But the majority, if everybody understands, you got people, sister, that's objective.
You're interrupting me. You're interrupting me. Let me finish my
sister.
Listen, let me finish my statement, okay? Okay, be out. What I'm trying to say is that if God said don't do it like the other people, what difference does it make if the law says don't do this, right? And it was because the other people was doing it, you still don't do this. It doesn't matter whether it was because somebody else was doing it or not. If I say don't jump off of a bridge because I saw so-and-so jump off the bridge over there, the rule is don't jump off the bridge, period. That's what I'm trying to get at. You're saying that, no, the reason why he said don't jump off the bridge was because over in Maryland over there, people were jumping off bridges. And I'm like, so what? Don't jump off a bridge. That's what my point is I'm trying to understand that. So what? Okay, so you can jump off a bridge, but just do it only your way of jumping off bridges. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's a better way of explaining what I'm trying to say. You're saying that God said don't jump off the bridge only because they were jumping off bridges, but just don't copy how they jump off the bridge. Jump off of it sideways. Don't jump off of it facing forward like how they doing it. I'm trying to understand what the context is. Or just don't jump off the bridge. Which one is it? That's my question. You understand? Do you understand what I'm trying to comprehend here? I don't think, and then to like be yelling at me like I'm wrong for even asking a question and trying to understand and get clarity is crazy to me.
Not me, y'all. She's not yelling at me. I'll say this from a Kabbalistic perspective, right? Okay. So like with the Torah and the Kabbalah, right? So he said,
I don't mean to interrupt, but the brother from Jordan, Northeast Africa, we got to interview him like in the next 15 minutes. He been listening the whole time. So
just to wrap it up, don't say this from a Kabbalist. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Doctor, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead, Doctor.
Oh no, you're fine. Add on. Go ahead. Add on. You're on the roll. I'm just like, when you're on the roll, I just sit back. You know how we do.
My whole thing is I can't. That's like me being a foreigner to Buddhism. And I take a verse and I'm trying to insert my thought in the Buddhist.
Did you hear what I just said though? Did you hear how I summed it up? What I'm not understanding? Did you get to hear what I just said? Because you're coming back in still iterating the same thing when I just explained. You didn't hear that last part because you just left out.
You right, sister. Okay.
You just left out. You did not get to hear what I finally said, and he was gonna break it down. And now you're coming back. You're still arguing about something I've already tried to clarify what I meant, and he understood. What I said was, okay, and let me repeat it, okay? So when God said don't do this, okay, you're saying that it's because other people were doing it their way. So let's take jumping off of a bridge, for example, right? Don't jump off bridges, right? Because they were over here jumping off bridges, and I don't want these people over here, my Israelites, jumping off bridges, right? Don't jump off bridges. Now, the question is the commandment don't jump off bridges, or is it, well, don't jump off bridges how they were jumping off bridges? You can jump off bridges how you want to jump off bridges. Don't copy how they jumped off the bridge. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay. Cool.
So you get what I'm saying now? That's where I'm
confused. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Go ahead, Doc. What you were saying before, because I got this guest from Ren Jordan.
No.
He's coming on next. So
I mean, from perspective of someone who is a scholar in the Kabbalah, it's basically just the Torah Constitution, right? It's the Torah Constitution is here.
Right.
Then you have the Kabbalah, or you have the Sephiroth Torah, which is here, but that's what constitutes the fabric of reality. So on the top part is what we're supposed to be doing. Don't do this, that. This is the reason why. And that's where you get the Kabbalah comes in. Because if you do, then on a mathematical equation, like if 2 + 2 or 1, like say you take your check, for instance, if 1 decimal point moves this way or moves that way, it could be $100 or $10. You see what I'm saying? So these things affect your life. So what the Kabbalah does is it affects why should I do this? Why shouldn't I do that? This is why, because of this mathematical formula.
Okay, so don't jump off bridges because
X, Y, and Z.
Now that makes sense. Now I get it. Okay, that's what the only part that I was okay. So you just get a rule that says don't do it.
Right.
Kabbalah explains why.
Why? Because in a mystery,
finally,
a mathematical concept. That's why I said divine mathematical format. This is why X, Y, and Z will happen to you because of this. You know what I mean?
It gives you like the actual fabric of the thing that it represents.
The books that was showing you, this breaks down the Yahweh Iron Soul, why it came to, like, you know what I mean, why it came into existence. Even earlier I explained about the Iron Soul and how it came to existence. If nature is in balance in any way, there's going to be a problem, and it's always going to try to center itself out. It's the same way in the laws that govern the universe. It just didn't happen per se, but there's a point in time, or you can say it didn't happen at a point in time, that things got off. You see what I'm saying? And it's trying to right itself. And then that's when the Torah comes in for us on a human level, or on this level we're on, to right that, so we can get back and come out of cosmic exile with the Supreme. At some point in time, we came out of exile with the Supreme. That's why we had Leviticus in the Torah to get us right back with it. Now, other nations will copy it and distort it, you know what I mean, for their own use, because it can never be the original use. You know what I mean? It can't come from the original source. So what will happen is it'll be off. It's not the same. You can't, like it, you can run a red light if you want, but this is the cause and effect to it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is why we do it, and this is the reason why.
Right. It might be faster to keep running red lights, but at some point you might run into somebody.
Reality is objective. We live in an objective reality. So you have to, with that, there has to be some type of way to balance things out and keep it balanced. And so that's where the Kabbalah comes in. It explains where did the balance come off? How do we get back there? How did it come into existence in the first place? The transcendency, immanency. My person really, when we transcendency or transcendence and immanency came out of each other, that's when it came. Again, that's through my research and stuff like that. I think, like we was talking before about man and women, how we're at each other like that. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same thing when we deal with on a higher level, and we deal with the laws of nature, how it distorted itself and how it came out. Because if you talk to, like, for instance, you were saying before about just like different priests and whatnot, there were shamans So the shamans that came down, they fell into it. And then he kept falling and falling. Like humanity itself has kept falling because we get further away from these laws, statutes, and commandments that we have. We're falling further away from what the Kabbalah stuff. And there was one time in the galaxy, and it's different star systems, there was the Kabbalah. There was no other educational system. It taught you who you was, why you're here, or what the true and living God is, and what constitutes the fabric of reality, which in turn constitutes the fabric of just life in itself. Like your purpose to life. You see what I'm saying? So once you stay, if you study the Kabbalah, you take these books and study. You didn't practice it. Yes, there's different, like for instance, there's different points in Hebrew Israelites, like Young Kepler and stuff like that. You would do certain things, but at the same time, it's more study. So our brothers and sisters in the gods of earth, you'd be like, do they practice 120? They live 120. So we live the Kabbalah. You know what I mean?
Right.
We can talk it, we read it. It's how we eat. It's how we, you know what I mean? There's a book on sex in the Kabbalah. You see what I'm saying? And then if you live that way, compared to the ways of other nations, we will see a difference. But the problem, other nations have influenced not only our holy teachings of the Kabbalah and the technology of the Kabbalah, it's now distorted it. So it's like layers and layers. So when I come on here, because I need like 5 or 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we gotta do a part 2 because we this got heated. It got, and listen.
Oh no,
I love Mighty Hebrew. I ain't got, you know what I'm saying? We always getting into
it's a brother sister. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, he's like my big brother and I'm like his little sister. We have to be about to kill each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I already know. It's brother and sister thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, like to say, but the Kabbalah it's very difficult to like teach because of the Jew. First of all, I have to detach everyone from what they thought it was. So the K, the Q, the C, the K, C, A, B, L, and I try to show books to help people that you actually. It's a lot of them out of print. A lot of people. There's a lot of groups that hold books. There's sometimes even myself. I'll go in the bookstore and I'll pull certain Kabbalah books off the shelf away from people. Because like the Mighty Hebrew said, people can take this information and do damage.
Do the wrong thing. Yeah.
I know.
Here's one question, and I want you to give some final statements before we go because we do have this. And I did put the link to the next live that we're about to go over to in the actual chat. If you get a chance, come please join us over there as well. It's going to be a great dialogue. Here's a thing. The Kabbalah is interpreted by people. They write books. Okay, so could you write a book on Kabbalah at some point, or is it like only certain people can write the Kabbalah book?
I could.
Okay, so so it's different people that are from that train of thought that write different books based on the knowledge that is given.
You have to be in the priesthood. You have to be part of the put it like this. Somebody, how I got it, I would have to call like one of my elders if I got the book. They would say yes or no. Even before I even got on social media to mention the call, I had to make a phone call.
Right. Okay.
Said no, I would never do this. But my elder said yes. He was enthusiastic. He was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Now here I am.
Well, I'm glad we were able to make clarity on that because I was just trying to understand like what it, like really because everybody's not gonna just understand it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be very clear,
I mean, to teach this, it takes a lot of patience. To teach, that's why everyone loves me because I have patience. Because people ask us, so what do you mean? Because it's confusing. I mean, it's really confusing. It's very, very confusing. About 30 plus years. I have 30 years in this. Trust me. When I first got in this, I'm like, what in the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's comparative studies, the long nights, and I'm talking 30 years.
And we haven't even gotten into it. We just got on the surface. We're just getting past the Torah and going into Kabbalah. You know what I'm saying? So imagine getting into it. So yeah.
So the relationship.
The higher. Okay, so the surface of the Torah, and now
Right.
But you gotta break through the surface in order to get deeper. So you gotta. So that's not gonna be an easy break, right?
Right, because I can't explain to you the tree of life, and you don't know what the Sephirotor is. If you don't know what the Yahweh Iron Sof is, You know what I mean? Like just putting the chair before the horse.
Right.
And it's a drawn out
Process.
Yeah. And you know, in this society, people want instant. Like, so what is? It's not like that. You know what I mean? I got to really, and I mean no harm when I say it, spoon feed people, so you really get, because you can get lost quick, especially you start dealing with the cliff off and this and that. You know what I mean? But I want to say this before we get off. Make no mistake about it. Like the mighty Hebrew said, they are using the Kabbalah to destroy humanity. There are your numbers, symbols. You see 44 everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you said, if someone went through it on it, they're using it. So it's not the Kabbalah is evil, because I hear a lot of people say, well, the Kabbalah is evil, is witchcraft, just that. Witchcraft in the sense of, because I understand too witchcraft. I study witchcraft as well. It's just nature, it's natural law. You know what I mean? It's law. Right. But the way I try to keep it away from that, because once you say that, I only make people think evil.
Yeah.
When you say witchcraft and Kabbalah, because most Kabbalah books are in the witchcraft section. You know what I mean? And
right. Exactly.
most people are like, well, wait a minute, what do you know what I mean? So you got to like, no,
get people to stop saying certain words.
right.
Get people to think wrong. Right. Exactly.
No, we know what magic is. It's
Right.
just to, you know, I looked up the word. I did that real quick.
Okay.
Like, okay, this is the definition: the art of influencing or predicting events.
Influencing or predicting events.
So is that bad?
Hell, people do that all the time.
Hey, we do it every day.
Listen, there's sometimes when you see that light is yellow and you predict, you say, "Man, I think I got a little bit of time. I could just get past that yellow light."
And you influence
And
that from turning red.
Right.
You
think don't turn. You get past it.
Like I turn the light green. I do that all the time. But again, it has a negative context because of what they brought it to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's magic, even with the K. It's supposed to be M-A-G-I-K, or things like, you know what I mean, or M-I-G-I-C. First thing you think of is like Aleister Crowley, that, and then you get in the Kabbalah swung into that. It just takes everyone for a loop. That's why I go mathematics, which is magic, which you can say it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. You're dealing with some type of matrix code.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And the reason, and see that, like I said, as a practitioner of E5, it's 100% binary code. And
right.
then the database that you pulled information out of to know what's about to go down, and then there's a certain thing to use that. Okay, do this thing to make sure that you don't go, that this calamity doesn't happen, or that to continue to stay, to keep things going good, do this. You know, depending on what, you know, it might be something that, you know, that you're used for vibrational purposes to kind of like whatever. But, you know, so.
And when binary mathematics looks in the mirror, sees the Kabbalah. When Kabbalah looks in the mirror, sees binary mathematics.
Right.
So, but that's why they're saying now non-binary people and you know what I mean, to move.
Right. Moving away from that male and female combination of things. Yeah, wow.
Away from the laws that govern this universe that makes us who we are and make them whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? So they're using the Kabbalah against, they're using the science of the Sephiroth in itself and remixing it. But if you don't know that, you can change the whole reality right underneath your nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're doing right now.
You know what's so crazy? My family lives in Steubenville, Ohio.
Oh yeah.
45 minutes away from Pittsburgh.
Oh no, yes.
And you know, Wu-Tang used to be in Steubenville a long time ago. So that used to be a really big
yeah, Ghostface shot there, didn't he?
Yeah, it's an energy center over there. So you know.
Yeah, that's why they derailed that train. You know what I mean? That train wreck.
Yeah.
We got to close it out now because I'm being head up.
Okay.
The sheet.
I put the link in the comments. So you guys, we're about to go over to the next chat next door. This is the link, right? So follow us over there.
All right.
This was intense, but we're gonna bring you back though. We're gonna bring you back. So because this right when we're starting to cook, you gotta end. Now we're starting to bounce off each other. And, okay, now I see where you're coming from. Now, okay, but we're gonna bring you back. We gotta bring you back. All right, take care.
Take the saga here.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.